Chapter 747. Yang Mingqiao was hit and killed, but the car didn't stop. The driver turned the steering wheel, and the car drove away in an instant. Someone's dead, someone's dead. The people on the road shouted loudly. The news of Yang Mingqiao's death spread quickly. Everyone lamented that Yang Mingqiao died so miserably. The worst thing was that the car involved in the accident was not found. It was a fake license plate. The car couldn't be found, and the driver was nowhere to be seen. Originally, not many people in the military would care about this matter. If he died, then so be it. However, several of Yang Mingqiao's brothers told their superiors about the conflict between Yang Mingqiao and Wang Zhong. They suspected that Wang Zhong hired someone to kill Yang Mingqiao. Unfortunately, this kind of thing required evidence. Without evidence, it was useless to say these things. Yang Mingqiao's brothers had no choice but to give up. However, a few of Gus Rio's trusted aides had noticed this. General, Captain Yang's death is most likely Tang Bai's doing. This kid is so young, but he's already so ruthless. He must not be allowed to live. A subordinate said with a lowered head. Yes, and I also found a few interesting things. All of this kid's superiors didn't end well. The one who spoke was a thin man from the military intelligence department. He habitually adjusted his glasses and said, Tang Bai's first captain, Yang Beiming, was arrested by the military police for drinking. I found out that it was Tang Bai who treated him to a drink. After that, his senior officer, Kata, was dismissed. This is not strange. Kata deliberately wanted to mess with Tang Bai, and then Tang Bai saved Ma Xianxian. Ma Xianxian's father greeted you, General, and then you instructed Lei Shutian to take care of Tang Bai. Gus Liu thought for a while and suddenly remembered that such a thing did happen. Ma Huayan was very polite at that time, and even gave him 100 million energy points as a filial piety. General, Lei Shutian probably thought that you and Tang Bai had some relationship, so he dismissed Kata. In short, Tang Bai got the most benefits in the end. A dark-skinned man on the side said, Speaking of this, there's one more thing. Song Rinxiang was originally our favorite warship commander. His ability is outstanding, and he knows how to use people well. His network in the military is also good. It can be said that this person is Tang Bai's most advantageous competitor. Oh, Song Rinxiang. I know this person. He's really a good person. Unfortunately, he went with his friends to find a prostitute and was stopped by reporters. He's so unreliable. After that, the middle-aged man was stunned. That's not right. How could it be so coincidental? The dark-skinned man said coldly, That's right. It's not a big deal to bring this matter up, but the problem is that this person's accident is too strange. Think about it. Who will benefit the most if he is removed from his position? Moreover, when I investigated this matter, Song Rinxiang and his friends didn't know about the recruitment of the JI. In other words, they weren't the ones who found those women. Most importantly, why would the reporters pass by so coincidentally? Hearing this, the group of people felt a chill in their hearts. If all of this was Tang Bai's doing, then this person was too terrifying. Whoever was his leader would be unlucky. Yang Beiming, Kata, Song Rinxiang, and now Yang Mingqiao, the military logistics officer. This Tang Bai is really good. He climbed up step by step. Those who block his way have to die. It won't be long before it's our turn. The bespectacled man looked at Gus Liu and saluted. Sir General, this person must not be left alive. Gus Liu sat in the general's chair. He had a square face and a strong body. Holding 2 round iron balls in his hands, he said faintly, Now that you mention it, I think of my son. Everyone was shocked. They didn't know why the general suddenly mentioned his dead son, Jack Mario. Gus Liu continued. Does everyone remember who saved my son? It's Tang Bai. It's also this Tang Bai. Everyone was shocked again. Could it be that this Tang Bai directed and acted out this heroic rescue in order to get promoted? After this incident, we deliberately downplayed the topic of him, but for some reason, the internet was flooded with news of him saving people. Gus Liu agreed. Yes, I was also very curious at first. Tang Bai saved my son, but why didn't he call the police after he came out? He only called the police after my son was killed by the self-destruct bomb. Now that you've reminded me, I understand. Gus Leo stood up and swept his cold eyes across the room. He said sternly without being angry. The reason might be, those criminals were contacted by Tang Bai. My son might have found out about this by accident, so he was killed. The possibility of this happening was very high, as they didn't believe that Wang Zhong had appeared there by chance. The only possibility was that Wang Zhong contacted those criminals. If that's the case, it's too scary. The generals in the room were all drenched in cold sweat. For the first time, they were afraid of their subordinates. Then I'll give the order right away. Say that he's corrupt. Arrest him. Gus Leo waved his hand. No. This Tang Bai has unknowingly become a rising star in our army. If we arrest him for no reason, without solid evidence, the people will oppose me. This kid is especially good at manipulating public opinion. I'm afraid that he'll bite me in the back if he's cornered. Gus Leo's confidants nodded solemnly. They all knew the gravity of the situation. At this time, the bespectacled man in charge of intelligence smiled. I have an idea. Oh, tell me, Sir General, aren't we about to receive a batch of giant gunships? That batch of giant gunships has been determined to have flaws in their experiments. The hardness of their shells isn't high enough. After 3 consecutive space jumps, their shells will be torn apart. Gus Leo frowned. Horton, everyone knows about this. What are you trying to say? Not many people know. We can pretend that we don't know and deliberately give Tang Bai an important task, and let him receive the warships. And then, we'll let Tang Bai lead this batch of giant gunships to the Haiku meteorites for experiments. The Haiku meteorites? Didn't we find the Japanese army there, through reconnaissance satellites? If we go there rashly, won't. When Gus Leo said this, he suddenly became amused. I know. Let Tang Bai go there. If they meet the Japanese army, the 2 armies will fight. Yes. At that time, with the giant gunships' performance, not only will they not be able to perform continuous space jumps, but their firepower and defense will also be inferior to the tens of thousands of low-level warships gathered by the Japanese army. It'll be best if Tang Bai dies in battle. If he doesn't, we can use the excuse that he's not a good leader and have him court-martialed. Tang Bai's problem will be solved, and so will the problem of this batch of problematic gunships. Gus Leo had received a huge commission to purchase this batch of giant gunships. It was fine when there was no war, but when there was a war, such a big matter could make Gus Leo court-martialed. This time, Horton's method could solve both the problems of Tang Bai and the problematic gunships. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Very good. Let's do that. 3 days later, Wang Zhong was ordered to receive a batch of warships called giant gunships. This batch of warships was very mysterious because Wang Zhong, who held an important position, had never heard of this batch of gunships. It was only when he received the order to receive it that Wang Zhong learned about this batch of warships. According to the order, this batch of warships was the latest batch of warships secretly developed by Gus Leo's team. There were a total of 10,000 giant gunships. The characteristic of these warships was that they were cheaper than low-level warships, but they could exert the power of high-level warships' main cannons. In Gus Leo's words, this batch of warships could completely solve the problem of insufficient funds to purchase warships. This was because this type of warship had the power of a high-level warship's main cannons, and its speed could reach the speed of a mid-level warship. Only 7 or 8 people were needed to control it. Most importantly, it was cheap. That was why Gus Leo said that as long as this batch of warships passed the experiment, his army would purchase giant gunships on a large scale. In the future, it would be the era of giant gunships. Chapter 748. This giant gunship is so small. How can it be called a giant gunship? It might as well be called a dwarf gunship. Looking at the densely packed battleships on the square, Wang Zhong was speechless as he ridiculed them. Officer Tang, you can't say that. Let me introduce it. Wei Bin, the manager of the arms dealer with gold-rimmed glasses, smiled and pointed at the giant gunship's huge muzzle. The name giant gunship doesn't refer to the size of the warship, but the muzzle. This small warship's main cannon is comparable to a high-grade warship's, and its price is less than half of a low-grade warship's. Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. This sounded good. In fact, just by listening to the introduction, it was indeed good. On the battlefield, a low-grade warship's main cannon had to fire at least 5 times to tear apart the defense of a high-grade warship. If a giant gunship went to war, it meant that it could tear apart a high-grade warship's defense with a single shot. The key was that it was cheap. This way, the cost of war would be greatly reduced. It meant that in the future, they could use sea tactics to besiege high-grade warships. The main cannon is so powerful. Not bad. What about its defense? Wang Zhong was not so easy to fool. A valuable warship's attack power was important, but so was its defense. For example, a low-grade warship's attack power was not as good as a high-grade warship's, but its defense could withstand at least 3 shots from a low-grade warship's main cannon. Hearing Wang Zhong's question, Wei Bin smiled awkwardly. What's wrong? Wang Zhong saw that something was wrong. Wei Bin said, it's like this. Considering the giant gunship's mobility, we abandoned a part of its defense configuration. Don't hesitate. What's its defense like? The highest is 5. Defense 5. Wang Zhong's eyes widened. A low-grade warship's defense could reach 12 or 13. It should be known that a patrol ship's defense could reach 6 or 7. This meant that the giant gunship's defense was not even as good as a patrol ship's. It was possible that the secondary cannons of some low-level warships would be able to destroy their giant gunships. Seeing Wang Zhong's reaction, Wei Bin also knew that this was too much of a scumbag. He could not help but curse his superior in his heart. For the sake of energy points, his conscience had been eaten by dogs. In order to save on costs, the giant gunship's armor and protective shields were of the lowest quality. If this kind of warship was sent out, the casualty rate would definitely be very high. However, as a small arms sales manager, Wei Bin couldn't care less about these things. The only thing he could do now was to exaggerate the quality of the giant gunships and make the army pay for them. Then Wei Bin quietly handed Wang Zhong a card. What does that mean? Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. It's just a small token. Wei Bin felt that since he was already acting like this, the other party should know what he meant. Wang Zhong naturally knew what he meant. For a moment he was infuriated. Their warships were fighting hard on the front lines, but these profiteers were colluding with the upper echelons to sell inferior military products. How despicable. However, Wang Zhong did not say anything. At present he was not qualified to interfere. If he wanted to interfere, he needed to have weight. Therefore Wang Zhong smiled and took the card. I will experiment with these warships. I hope they don't disappoint me. Don't worry, they won't disappoint you. There were tens of millions of energy points in the card. Wei Bin felt that this should be enough to satisfy Wang Zhong. The troops quickly gathered. This time, they were all newly graduated aviation soldiers. They boarded the giant gunship with hope. Everyone's face was filled with excitement. After all, this was their first real battle. Although it was just an experiment, everyone was still looking forward to it. F***CK, this giant gunship is too trashy. Apart from the main cannon, everything else is trash. In the control room, Alex, the operator beside Wang Zhong, could not help but curse. It's not good. What is the military thinking? Why did they buy this crappy thing for hundreds of millions? It's not even as good as a low-grade warship. This kind of warship can't even withstand the attack of the secondary cannon. I seriously wonder if a warship of this quality can withstand a space jump, Ding Ji said with a serious expression. Everyone here was Wang Zhong's confidant, so they did not hold back when speaking in front of Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong did not say anything. At this moment, he was talking to LV Yang on the phone through his electronic bracelet. I checked the data of the giant gunship, and it's not too optimistic. The internal structure is of the worst quality, especially the hull. The materials are not up to standard, which is why its defense is so weak. I estimate that this warship can at most make 3 space jumps. Once it exceeds that, the hull will disintegrate. So serious? Wang Zhong was stunned. In this era, a warship could at most make 3 space jumps. This warship was no different from a piece of trash. F***CK, you want me to experiment with this crappy thing? Wang Zhong could not help but curse. Sir, what do we do? The team member asked. Order the ignition. We have to experiment, but I won't pass this warship. Wang Zhong was already thinking about how to use this matter to blow up the internet and maximize his benefits when the time came. Wang Zhong knew that once this matter was exposed, it would definitely cause an uproar. When the time came, those above him would probably hate him. So he had to go all out and become the strongest. But at this time, the radio operator shouted, "Sir Commander, Admiral Guslio requests a private communication with you." Understood. Wang Zhong pondered for a moment, then went to his bedroom and contacted Guslio. Seeing Guslio, Wang Zhong saluted. "Greetings, Sir Admiral." "Greetings, Sir Fleet Commander." Guslio smiled. "You should have a good understanding of our newly developed giant gunship's capabilities, right?" Wang Zhong cursed inwardly. Guslio was probably contacting him at this time, so that he could experiment with these giant gunships. If he did that, he would be officially recognized as one of Guslio's men. However, these warships were ultimately problematic. "I have a little understanding of some of the capabilities of these giant gunships. I don't feel good about them." After thinking for a moment, Wang Zhong voiced his concerns. "I already know that. The laboratory will upgrade and modify these giant gunships in the future. You don't have to worry about that." "Is that so?" Wang Zhong gawked for a moment before his heart relaxed. If that was the case, it could not be better. At present, he did not want to make enemies with too many people. After chatting for a while longer, Guslio gave some instructions and hung up. The giant gunship fleet slowly sailed out. After entering the depths of the universe, Wang Zhong's avatar appeared on the main screen of every giant gunship. "Hello everyone. I am your commander, Tang Bai. I believe everyone already knows the purpose of this trip. These giant gunships are the latest secret warships developed by our military. Although there are still flaws in their performance, the military hopes to test the performance of these warships through this experiment. I hope everyone can work together with me and contribute to the development of our country. This is our military's rising star, His Excellency Tang Bai. He's so handsome. This is my idol." "My idol?" a girl in one of the giant gunships said. "I heard that His Excellency Tang Bai became a warship commander in his 30s. I want to be as powerful as him in the future." Unknowingly, Wang Zhong had become the idol of many people. At this moment, at the border of the Hake meteorite group, near the Japanese Empire, a large number of low-level warships were gathered. Today, the Japanese Empire was conducting an exercise here. The reason for this exercise was that the Japanese Empire and the Wantai Federation had been having border friction recently. The two countries were not very harmonious from the beginning. They mainly competed for ownership of several planets with a large number of crystal mines. During this period, there were many large and small battles, but the two countries were too big. Overall, there were victories and losses in the battles. Later, the Japanese Empire decided to reconcile with the Wantai Federation because of internal affairs. The two countries maintained an overall peace for 100 years. However, with the death of the older generation of the Japanese Empire, the border once again had friction with the Wantai Federation. This time, in order to deter the Wantai Federation, the Japanese Empire announced a live-fire exercise at the border. The exercise was naturally notified in advance, but this time, in order to mess with Wang Zhong, Guslio and his men deliberately diluted the Japanese Empire's exercise. Finally, the Japanese Empire's warships were almost gathered. Start the space jump. A total of 36,000 low-level warships began the space jump. What they didn't know was that on the other side of the Hake meteorite group, Wang Zhong led the giant gunship's fleet over. Anyway, it was just an experiment. Wang Zhong used this opportunity to start his own training operation. The huge 10,000 giant gunships in the vast deep space aimed at some meteorites and fired. However, at this time Liu Yang sent a message. "Tang Bai, there is a problem ahead. A large number of low-level warships of the Japanese Empire have been found." "What are they doing here?" Wang Zhong's eyes narrowed. With so many low-level warships, whether in terms of quality or quantity, they were far superior to him. If the other party took the initiative to attack, it would be troublesome. Chapter 749. I entered their warship's computer and learned that they are going to conduct a live-fire military exercise. I estimate that if you enter their radar, they will most likely fire. Hearing Liu Yang's words, Wang Zhong said, "We can only retreat." As soon as he finished speaking, the radar soldier reported, "Thousands of low-level warships have been detected ahead. They are requesting to communicate with us." "Only a few thousand? There are also thousands of warships on the right side." Hearing the radar soldier's words, Wang Zhong's expression changed. "They're trying to surround us." At this moment, the commander of the Japanese fleet was chatting. This giant gunship is the latest secret warship, designed by the hypocrites of the Wantai Federation? Humph, they appeared in our exercise field rashly. I'm afraid they are up to no good. Surround them and kill them on the spot. Sir, isn't this a bit inappropriate? After all, this is an undeclared war. Do you know what a live-fire exercise is? If anything happens during the exercise, it is not our responsibility. If these giant gunships surrender, it will be best. We can study them. If they don't surrender, they have entered our exercise field anyway. Morality will be on our side. As soon as he finished speaking, the 5,000 warships that were about to surround Wang Zhong's fleet were instantly attacked. The giant gunship's main cannons suddenly fired their cannons, destroying a total of over 4,000 low-grade warships. What's the situation? Warning, the enemy has launched an attack on us. Attack! On Wang Zhong's side, Wang Zhong's head had already appeared on the huge screen of each giant gunship. The enemy's purpose is to surround us. Given the historical hatred between our country and the Japanese Empire, their purpose is to make us surrender or to encircle and annihilate us. Listening to Wang Zhong's analysis, the captain's face was dignified. I now announce that we are entering a state of war. Listen to my command and aim at the warship on the right. As soon as they appeared, the Japanese Empire's thousands of warships were destroyed, which made them exasperated. Fire! The low-level warships fired and thousands of giant gunships were destroyed. But at this time, the enemy's team on the right was torn open. Wang Zhong ordered, "Accelerate and break through from the right side." Fortunately, the giant gunship's body was small, so it was very fast and rushed out of the encirclement. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the low-level warships nearby quickly attacked. What surprised the people of the Japanese Empire was that the hulls of these seemingly small and exquisite giant gunships were easily torn apart by the secondary cannons, as if they were made of paper. Damn, are these battleships made of paper? Ha ha ha, it must be an inferior product. To think that these dogs would have such a day. Chase after these trashy warships. Wang Zhong led the remaining fleet through the meteorites. However, there were too many low-level battleships behind them, and they were in hot pursuit. One had to know that to perform a space jump, one had to wait for 3 minutes. In other words, it was very difficult to perform a space jump while fleeing. Sir, we lost 2,856 giant gunships in the attack just now. The enemy is in hot pursuit of us. Please give us further instructions. Wang Zhong looked at the surrounding asteroids and said coldly, "Although the enemy outnumbers us, this is an asteroid field. Our smaller gunships have the advantage. Turn on the comms. I want to talk to all the captains." "Yes, sir." 3 minutes later, a group of low-grade battleships chasing after the giant gunships entered an asteroid field. There were more asteroids here, and they were larger in size. They were surprised to find that these small giant gunships were all gone. It was not that they were gone. They were right in front of them through the radar, but they were hiding behind the asteroids. "Shoot the asteroids away." The captain of the low-grade battleship in charge of the chase shouted excitedly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The low-grade battleships were not afraid of these giant gunships at all. Their main cannons blew up the asteroids one by one. As soon as the giant gunships behind them appeared, something unexpected happened. The giant gunships behind the asteroids had already reloaded their main cannons, and were shooting at the low-grade battleships. Boom boom. Although the giant gunship's defense was not good, their attack power was the power of a high-level battleship. One shot tore through the defense of the low-grade battleships. The only drawback was that it took too long to reload, so these giant gunships ran away after shooting. Not bad. Looking at his own troops moving behind the giant asteroids on the radar, Wang Zhong smiled. His plan had succeeded. Using guerrilla warfare, he had successfully lured these large low-grade battleships into the asteroids. In fact, he was not afraid of attracting the asteroids. These low-grade battleships' defense was not weak and could withstand the impact of the asteroids. But the problem was that the giant gunships were hiding behind the asteroids. They could be seen on the radar, but could not be hit. On the other hand, the giant gunships could suddenly fire a shot and catch the low-grade battleships off guard. The 2,000 giant gunships led by Wang Zhong circled to the left flank. Using the advantage of the asteroid's concealment, they began a pincer attack. The battle lasted for more than 2 hours. Of the more than 30,000 low-grade battleships, only 10,000 of them were left and retreated. And the giant gunships led by Wang Zhong won a huge victory, only losing more than 5,000 giant gunships. But what Wang Zhong did not expect was that when he returned, what greeted him was not flowers and rewards, but prison. Chapter 750. Why is this happening? A huge red question mark flashed on the TV screen. Although the ratings of this unranked TV station were very bad, the ratings kept rising after the clip was broadcasted. Many people even broadcast it live on the internet. With the words, "Why is this happening?" the picture changed again and another subtitle appeared. The answer was, there was a problem with these warships. Someone deliberately sent these warships to their deaths to cover up the quality of the warships. Unexpectedly, under the heroic leadership of Tang Bai, our country won a huge victory. Our hero should not be suppressed. He is a hero, a real soldier. Once the video was broadcasted, the entire Wantai Federation instantly exploded. Countless people held signs saying, "Release the hero, Tang Bai, and return peace to the world," and went to the streets. A poll was also set off on the internet, asking the president to explain why this incident had happened and to thoroughly investigate it. Even many soldiers were secretly indignant about Wang Zhong's experience. After all, Wang Zhong had become the idol of many people over the years. These people were very angry to see their idol killed and framed like this. As the instigator of this incident, the pressure on Admiral Guslio could be imagined. Many people in the military criticized Guslio in order to distance themselves from this matter. In fact, there were even many political allies that were anxious to cut ties with Guthrio. There were quite a few people who took advantage of the situation and ran over to the prison, declaring that Wang Zhong was being persecuted and that they had to seek justice for him. Later, in order to calm the public's anger, the president could only demote Guslio to a deputy position. The reason was that the Japanese Empire's army had gathered at the border. Directly removing the admiral at this time would disturb the morale of the army. This result was within Wang Zhong's expectations. The reason was very simple. Guslio's position was too important. He had been in this position for many years and held real power in his hands. If he really pushed him too far, Guslio might directly defect. This time, it seemed that Guslio was demoted to a deputy position, but discerning people could see that Guslio's army was still under his control. Wang Zhong benefited from this disaster. Not only was he spared from prison, but he was also promoted to a major general because of his meritorious service in the battle. He now commanded a low-level warship army with a total of 15,000 warships. Not long after he was released from prison, the border between the Japanese Empire and the Wantai Federation was once again in conflict, and both sides suffered losses. Perhaps Guthrio wanted to salvage his image in the eyes of the people, so he led his own troops to provide support. Wang Zhong was also ordered by the president to support the flanks. Of course, Wang Zhong knew that his forces were very weak and could be easily devoured by others. Therefore, he chose to defend the satellite fortress and fortify his position. On the other side, Instructor Lin Wui and his robot army had already built a base on an unknown dead star. Black warships began to rise into the air. Upon closer inspection, these battleships were actually all high-grade battleships. There is a battle ahead. My student, Tang Bai, has led the army to fight the enemy. Although there are only a little more than 1,000 advanced warships, these warships are comparable to nearly 10,000 low-level warships. After that, Lin Wui saluted. I order you to head to the Tangbai battle zone. Yes. The robots inside the advanced warships saluted in unison. At this time, Wang Zhong naturally knew that Lu Yang had prepared a batch of battleships for him. He was shocked. These advanced battleships are all for me? Yes. For this, I also upgraded them. The main cannon reload time is shorter, and the speed is faster by 2 knots. Big sister, you can do this too? Why are you so awesome? My database stores the research data of various engineers. I only need to integrate the best research data in it to upgrade. Lu Yang felt that this was very simple. But if a human were to operate it, one could imagine how difficult it would be. First of all, there is the problem of intellectual property. No one would take out their research results without benefits. Secondly, there is the problem of information circulation. All of this can only be integrated with a large database like Lu Yang's. By the way, let me tell you a piece of good news. Recently, in addition to researching advanced battleships, I have also developed a new type of battleship. Wang Zhong shook his head and smiled. Big sister, so many advanced battleships are already very good. These battleships are even more powerful than advanced battleships. You don't want them? Yes, of course I do. But the war situation is tight now. There is no time to produce these battleships, right? It seems so. Lu Yang pondered for a moment, then suddenly smiled. By the way, speaking of these weapons, I think you can make use of some remote planets. What do you mean? For example, your green water planet. You can let the people there produce battleships, and even let them learn how to operate them. After all, your army can't all be controlled by robots in the future. At the end of the day, humans in this world still don't trust robots. Wang Zhong nodded. Yes, I can consider this. A huge plan formed in Wang Zhong's mind. With the addition of these 1,000 advanced battleships, the situation on Wang Zhong's side was alleviated. However, he did not let these advanced battleships enter the battle immediately. Instead, he pretended to make contact with the enemy. When the battle reached the climax, these advanced battleships suddenly jumped in through space and fired their secondary cannons while reloading their main cannons, catching the enemy off guard. What's going on? How did this Tangbai suddenly get so many advanced battleships? The enemy leader ordered his men to retreat while cursing in exasperation. Similarly, Admiral Guslio was also shocked. He was stunned and immediately ordered his subordinates to investigate how Wang Zhong had gotten his battleship. Soon, the news he received shocked him to the core. It was said that these advanced battleships were the private guards of a large financial group. This financial group hadn't been established for long, but in a short period of time, the financial group had invested in various stock funds and various unicorn companies. In just a few years, it had become one of the largest financial groups in the universe. In this universe, due to its large size, many large financial groups were as rich as countries. Therefore, there were many financial groups that established their own private guards. However, it was rare for a large financial group to give so many advanced battleships to the military. Guslio immediately realized that Wang Zhong's background was not simple. Find out which organization this Tangbai belongs to. However, at this time, the rear of the spaceship Guslio was in suddenly exploded. What's going on? Not good, Admiral. Our battleship suddenly encountered an explosion. The engine failed and the engine compartment was destroyed. Before the correspondent could finish, an even louder explosion was heard. Chapter 751. Until his death, Guslio didn't understand why he, who was sitting steadily at the rear, would encounter such a big explosion for no reason. Afterward, according to the results of the government's investigation, the explosion was a terrorist attack. It was very likely that a spy sent by the Japanese Empire had secretly entered Guslio's flagship, installed a bomb inside, and detonated the spaceship. Unfortunately, there was no evidence for this. It was precisely because there was no evidence that the government put the blame on the Japanese Empire. After all, if they couldn't find out, the angry people would think that the government was incompetent and couldn't even find out such a thing. Therefore, the Japanese Empire, who happened to be at war, naturally became the scapegoat. As the initiator, Wang Zhong secretly transferred a large amount of money to an account. The owner of this account was a warship maintenance staff, who installed the bomb on Gus Liu's spaceship. But when he was looking for him, Wang Zhong was looking for him as a person of the Japanese Empire. So even if this person was found out, no one would suspect him. When Gus Liu's spaceship was blown up, his confidants in the army were also there. After the explosion, the upper echelons of Gus Liu's faction were almost wiped out. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Wang Zhong made a strong declaration of war. Due to them being at war with the Japanese Empire, their general had been killed in an explosion. As the major general of Gus Liu's 3rd Legion, he had decided to temporarily take over Gus Liu's position and serve the country. He wanted to drive the Japanese Empire's army out of the Wan-Tai Federation's border within 3 months. As soon as the declaration came out, many generals in the military who were spying on Gus Liu's forces criticized Wang Zhong, thinking that he wanted to seize power. They also threatened that if they wanted to get General Gus Liu's army, they would have to go through the Congress and the president. Unfortunately, Wang Zhong didn't care about these criticisms, because many of Gus Liu's subordinates had expressed their support for Wang Zhong to be the interim general and command the frontline army. There were many reasons, such as Wang Zhong's strong leadership ability. His army had won many wars, and they believed that Wang Zhong could lead them to victory again. In addition, Wang Zhong had a great influence in the military, and he was the future star of the military. In addition, Wang Zhong's own forces were very strong, with more than 10,000 low-level warships and 1,000 high-level warships. Just these warships alone were far beyond what an ordinary major general could compare to. Apart from that, the most important thing was that Wang Zhong had greatly roped in these people and given them a lot of benefits. Just like that, Wang Zhong swiftly took control of Gus Liu's original forces with lightning speed. Anyone who disagreed with him was greatly suppressed. In terms of public opinion, Wang Zhong used the media he controlled to create an image of himself as a strong man. He was the god of war of the Myriad Tai Federation. He was an ever-victorious general. He shouted to all the enemies of the Myriad Tai Federation, "Those who offend the Myriad Tai Federation will be killed no matter how far away they are." This slogan was sprayed on all the warships under his command. Every time his fleet appeared on TV, this slogan would make the blood of every citizen of the Myriad Tai Federation boil. Unknowingly, Wang Zhong's influence was already strong enough to influence the political world. Strictly speaking, soldiers were not allowed to interfere in politics. However, Wang Zhong's influence was now enough to influence the votes of many voters. As a result, many politicians took the initiative to rope in Wang Zhong for votes, showing that they had a good relationship with him. Many people even deliberately satisfied Wang Zhong's many requests, hoping that Wang Zhong would help them build momentum. Wang Zhong saw all of this, but this kind of thing was based on interests. In any case, he could get what he wanted. After integrating the army, Wang Zhong's forces had more than 40,000 low-level warships and 20,000 mid-level warships. As for the high-level warships, he now had a total of 3,000 high-level warships. Such a force seemed to be a lot, but in fact, it was evenly matched with the Japanese Empire's vanguard forces. However, Wang Zhong was not worried. In this war, he did not need to destroy the enemy. He only needed to drive them out. This was his promise to the people. With the help of Greenwater, Wang Zhong could get first-hand information at any time, anywhere, so the battle was very smooth. In just 1 month, Wang Zhong severely damaged the enemy's main fleet and captured more than 2,000 low-level warships. Then he wiped out the enemy's mid-level warship fleet. At the same time, the consortium controlled by Greenwater bought 5,000 high-level warships and 10,000 low-level warships from the munitions department as a supplement. 3 months later, the Japanese Empire found that not only did they not defeat Wang Zhong's army, but he was getting richer and richer. So, they sent someone to make peace. This was the convenience of an imperial country. As long as the emperor gave an order, his subordinates had to carry it out. If it were a federal country like Wang Zhong's, the people would have already gone to the streets and shouted that he was a traitor. Wang Zhong accepted the Japanese Empire's surrender, but asked the other party to recognize that all disputed territories of the two countries belonged to the Myriad Tai Federation. The Japanese Empire readily agreed, and sent an ambassador to sign a peace treaty. On the day the peace treaty was signed, Wang Zhong, as the general who defeated the Japanese Empire, walked together with the president and prime minister to accept the peace treaty. However, just as the treaty was signed, Wang Zhong's adjutant hurried over. "Sir, what's wrong?" Wang Zhong knew his adjutant very well. Normally, he would not be so anxious if there was nothing wrong. "Your house just exploded." "What?" Wang Zhong was stunned. The first thing he thought of was Yi Huihui and his son. "What about my family?" "The situation is still unclear, but we've found out that the mastermind behind this incident is the work of a few diehards from Gusrio's faction. Currently, we've captured a few of the people involved, while the rest have escaped. Let's go back and take a look." When Wang Zhong returned home, he saw that his villa had been razed to the ground and several excavators were working. Soon, black cars arrived one after another. These people were all military and political allies. When they learned that Wang Zhong was being retaliated against, they rushed over to express their condolences. Wang Zhong called Yi Huihui several times, but no one responded. He then asked Green Sun, and Green Sun responded in time, saying that it could not contact Yi Huihui. As for the Chi-Chi point, it could not be reached at this time. Hearing this, Wang Zhong's heart sank. He knew that Yi Huihui was doomed. Sure enough, the next day Yi Huihui and his son, who were buried under the ruins, were dug up. At this moment, there was a trace of life left in the two. They were sent to the hospital immediately, but it was too late. Her son breathed his last halfway through the journey. Yi Huihui could only hold Wang Zhong's hand tightly. "Save our son." "Well, I will. Yi Huihui smiled. She smiled happily, but soon her hand fell down. The death of his family made Wang Zhong angry. Following which, the various political allies of the United States began to severely denounce this attack on the television. Furthermore, they declared that they would take revenge for Wang Zhong. 3 days later, the damaged Chi-Chi Point robot was also dug up. As a robot, the Chi-Chi Point did not die, but because of serious damage, it lost the ability to connect to the network. After the incident, Wang Zhong redesigned a new body for the Chi-Chi Point. The appearance was the same as before, but the internal structure was more delicate. A year after the incident, the entire Wantai Federation was looking for the initiator of the explosion. After all, Wang Zhong was a hero of the country, and this kind of explosion had a great impact. Surprisingly, the Japanese Empire also sent a message of condolences to Wang Zhong. They also sent the first princess of the empire, Princess Wenruo, to come and present the national treasure of the Japanese Empire, the Japanese sword, to represent the friendship between the Japanese Empire and Wang Zhong. Chapter 752. Wang Zhong looked around. They had agreed to talk, but now there was only him and Wenruo here. Especially the style of the decoration. The dim light had a hint of temptation. Does Wenruo want to pursue me? Thinking of this, Wang Zhong immediately shook his head. The possibility was very low. It was very simple. Although Wang Zhong had not been in contact with Princess Wenruo for long, he knew that she was a talented woman. She loved her people and herself, but she loved her country more. How could she want to pursue a general of an enemy country? However, Wenruo's next move surprised Wang Zhong. She suddenly proposed to drink some red wine, and then talked about the border. What she meant was that the disputed border areas were already owned by the Wantai Federation. The two countries could withdraw their troops from each other. There was no defense at the border between the two countries. They only needed to leave some patrol ships to clean up pirates. This way, first, it could save military expenses. Second, it could increase the trust between the two countries. Third, it could bring more trade between the two countries. This was also good for the Wantai Federation. Of course, Wang Zhong agreed. But then she told him about her own situation. Princess Wenruo was born in a royal family. She had no freedom since she was a child. She had to listen to the instructions of her family. She liked to sing, but her father would not allow her to appear in public often. She was very sad. She wanted to leave, but the empire was too big, and people were complicated. Since she was a child, she had seen too many people who obeyed her father. She was worried that her father would fall into a passive position if she left. As they chatted, Princess Wenrua's face became rosy. Do you know General Tang? My father originally wanted me to marry the Titan Empire. The Titan Empire was a country at the other end of the Japanese Empire. It bordered the Japanese Empire, but was separated from the Wantai Federation by the Japanese Empire. The Titan Empire's system was the same as the Wenrua Empire's. However, the Titan Empire's central government was more centralized. The lower parliament did not work at all. On the contrary, the Japanese Empire's parliament had rules that limited the rights of the monarch. This could prevent the monarch from making major mistakes. But the shortcomings were also obvious. The Japanese Empire was not harmonious. The Titan Empire had become stronger in recent years, and had the intention of dominating a region. Wang Zhong guessed that Wenrua's father didn't want to have a conflict with the Titan Empire, so he wanted peace. While he was thinking, Wenrua had unknowingly sat beside Wang Zhong. Princess Shu Tangbai, you are alone now. If you want to do anything, you can do it. Was there a need for such a blatant hint? Wang Zhong opened his mouth and was pushed down by Wenrua in a daze. Originally, Wang Zhong thought that Wenrua had pushed him down for a reason. Unexpectedly, the next day, Wenrua left without saying a word. She only left a piece of paper with the words, "We will still be friends in the future." What is this Wenrua planning? Wang Zhong did not understand. To Wang Zhong's surprise, 3 days later, a report came from the front lines that the Nippon Empire and the Titan Empire had officially declared war. Both countries had assembled their respective fleets at the border. Among them, there were more than 70,000 battleships in the Japanese Empire. Originally, they had more, but they had lost a lot during the war with the Wantai Federation. The Titan Empire had 150,000 battleships in total. With this number, the Nippon Empire was almost certain to lose. As Wang Zhong had guessed, Princess Wenrua really came to him. Her purpose was, of course, to ask for support. Why should I help you? Wang Zhong sipped his tea with a calm attitude. He now understood why Wenrua treated him like that. This talented woman was really scheming. She had a purpose for all of this. Her purpose was to see that there would be a war with the Titan Empire. If she did that with him, there was a high probability that he would be able to send troops to help. If she had met an ordinary general, her plan might have succeeded. Unfortunately, Wang Zhong was not. However, Princess Wenrua seemed to have guessed that Wang Zhong would do this. She smiled and said lightly, "Because helping me is also helping you and the Wantai Federation." Princess Wenrua continued to explain. Once our country is occupied, the Titan Empire's territory will double, and its military strength will jump to become the strongest in the region. The Titan Empire's current monarch is only in his 40s. He is an ambitious man, and will definitely launch a war against your country. If you don't help us now, you will face a bigger enemy when the time comes. Wang Zhong didn't speak and continued to listen. Besides, you are also an ambitious man, Mr. Tangbai. You are a soldier, and only war can give you prestige, right? You have said so much, but it still doesn't appeal to me. Wang Zhong shook his head slightly. It would be impossible for the Titan Empire to absorb the Wenrua Empire in less than 10 years. This period of time was enough for him to develop a bigger military force. When the time came, it would not be a problem for him to take down both empires in one go. Princess Wenrua didn't expect that Tang Bai would still be unwilling to help at this time. She gritted her teeth and said, "There is one last reason, and that is me. I am already your woman. If our country is occupied, I will be taken away by the Titan Empire's monarch. Are you willing to let your woman be taken away? If you are willing to, then I will leave immediately." Princess Wenrua also threw caution to the wind. In fact, she didn't like to talk about this with a man, because she felt that she must rely on herself, and not on a man. But this Tang Bai was not easy to deal with, so she could only do this. Wang Zhong stared at Princess Wenrua and laughed in his heart. He didn't expect this woman to say this. This was beyond Wang Zhong's expectation. "I promise you, but I have a condition." "What condition?" Princess Wenrua asked. "I want to marry you," Wang Zhong said bluntly. He had thought about it. Princess Wenrua had a high status in the Wenrua Empire. If he married her, he would be able to get the support of some forces in the Wenrua Empire. He would be able to become a marshal in the future. At present, although the old marshal of the Wantai Federation was old, according to Wang Zhong's intelligence network, the old marshal's faction intended to support another candidate, so he must be prepared in advance. At this moment, Princess Wenrua was stunned. Then she frowned. The last time she was with Wang Zhong, it was because she liked Wang Zhong, but she didn't want to marry at all. She was ambitious. She didn't want to be the princess or queen of the Wenrua Empire. She wanted to be the empress. She was with Wang Zhong because she wanted to find a peripheral ally. Once she got married, she would be the wife of a foreigner. How could she be the empress of the Wenrua Empire in the future? Impossible. Princess Wenrua shook her head immediately. Then forget it. You can rely on yourself. Princess Wenrua gritted her teeth and looked at Wang Zhong. She wanted to know what Wang Zhong meant. Was he doing it deliberately, or to scare her? Chapter 753. Wenrua stared at Wang Zhong, but she was soon disappointed. Wang Zhong's complexion was dull. He didn't have any intention of probing. If you don't agree, your country's army will suffer heavy losses. At that time, no matter what your purpose is, you won't have enough strength. If you agree now, you can still preserve your strength. Princess Wenrua wasn't a fool. She quickly weighed the pros and cons inside. Don't you think it's very shameless? I don't think so. After all, you are the one who started it. You have to take responsibility. Your ex-wife. Do you still miss her? Speaking of Yi Huihui, Wang Zhong recalled a familiar figure in his mind. If Huihui had received the same education as you since childhood, you are not as good as her. Wang Zhong told the truth. Princess Wenrua was stunned. She then smiled and said, I didn't expect you to have such a high opinion of her. The next day, Wang Zhong announced that he would marry Princess Wenrua. The whole Wenrua Empire cheered after hearing the news. They were at war with the Titan Empire. Princess Wenrua's marriage with Wang Zhong was a great thing. At least they could get military and political support. This news was bad news for the Titan Empire. The first thing they did was to denounce Princess Wenrua on the TV program of the Wantai Federation. They scolded Wang Zhong for being deceived. They also said that Princess Wenrua was an out-and-out liar, an AB*TCH. Marrying her was General Tang Bai's failure. Wang Zhong responded to this news with military force. His third army left for the front line 2 days later to support the Wenrua Empire. With the support of the Wantai Federation, the Titan Empire didn't suffer a crushing defeat as expected. The reason was simple. The Titan Empire and the Adalvan Empire had joined forces. The Adalvan Empire was a big country that was almost as strong as the Wantai Federation. The most important thing was that these two countries were mortal enemies and hadn't established diplomatic relations. Therefore, after learning that the Wantai Federation was supporting the Wenrua Empire, the Adalvan Empire supported the Titan Empire. The battleships of these two countries were more than twice as many as the battleships of the Wantai Federation and the Wenrua Empire. Even with the support of Wang Zhong, the Wenrua Empire's army was still retreating. In the first year, the Wenrua Empire lost 2/3 of their warships and retreated to various satellites, using them to defend their position. In the second year, the satellites of the Wenrua Empire were destroyed one by one, and more than half of Wang Zhong's fleet of low-grade warships were lost. In the same year, Wang Zhong requested support from the other corps of the Wantai Federation. The other 3 armies agreed to send 20,000 troops each, but they were all low-grade warships. In the third year, half of the Wenrua Empire's territory was occupied, and the situation took a turn for the worse. The Wenrua Empire had doubts about the leadership of the old emperor, and many members of parliament requested to negotiate peace with the Titan Empire. Otherwise, the Wenrua Empire would be in danger. Wang Zhong wasn't having a good time either. In the past, Wang Zhong was the rising star of the military world. After supporting the Wenrua Empire, the Wenrua Empire was too weak, and even dragged him down several times, causing him to suffer several defeats. Now the undercurrent of the Wantai Federation was surging, and many members of parliament questioned Wang Zhong's decision to send troops to support the Wenrua Empire. In their view, the Wenrua Empire might have had a high chance of winning at the beginning, but the enemy was too strong. If the war continued, the Wantai Federation would be dragged down by the Wenrua Empire. Coupled with the marriage of Wang Zhong and Princess Wenrua, many people questioned whether Wang Zhong sent troops to support the Wenrua Empire for his own personal benefit. Therefore, many of Wang Zhong's allies who used to support him cut ties with him and attacked Wang Zhong in parliament, asking for an explanation from Wang Zhong. No one would have thought that the marriage with Princess Wenrua was a good political bargaining chip at the beginning, but now, because of the continuous defeats, this relationship had become a burden. Hey Tang Bai, you must regret marrying me, right? On this day, bad news came from the front line again. The low-level battleships of the Fifth Army, which were supporting Wang Zhong's Third Army, unexpectedly disobeyed orders and withdrew to the Wantai Federation, leading to the loss of another important satellite of the Wenrua Empire. Not only that, but several other army generals also attacked Wang Zhong, asking him to withdraw his troops immediately, ignoring the Wenrua Empire and negotiating peace with the Titan Empire. They also wanted to divorce Princess Wenrua immediately and cut ties with her. Otherwise, they would deal with Wang Zhong's Third Army. After learning this news, Princess Wenrua went to find Wang Zhong. Regret? Why do you say that? It's all because of me that you are facing such a situation. As long as I don't say it, there is still hope. Wang Zhong smiled at Princess Wenrua. He had a strong self-confidence. He had already grasped the situation behind him, but he didn't care. It was very simple, because he didn't care about the forces of those people. Wenrua, you can rest assured. You and Hui Hui are my women, so I will protect you. At this moment, Wang Zhong's attitude made Wenrua feel that she had met the right person. Tang Bai, with your words, even if I die, I will have no regrets. You won't die. Wang Zhong was not speaking without thinking, because he still had a final trump card. If he didn't have these trump cards, he would absolutely not be willing to let his troops die. But now, of course, it was different. Wenrua, during this time, you have seen the true colors of some of the people around your father, right? Yes, I know. When we have the situation under control, we will catch them all in one fell swoop. 3 days later, the guards of the Wenrua Empire's internal counselors suddenly rebelled. They wanted to force Princess Wenrua and the old monarch to negotiate peace with the Titan Empire. In this rebellion, the counselors' battleships added up to more than 10,000 low-level battleships. The old monarch's private guards were only left with about 500 battleships, and most of the rest had been sent out to fight. During this time, the mighty rebel army in the universe had already surrounded the old monarch's guards, and the situation was very urgent. Just when the rebel army thought that they were going to win the battle, suddenly, laser beams were fired from the distant galaxy. The rebel army did not even have time to react before they were turned into space dust. Who saved us? The old monarch's son, Princess Wenrua's younger brother Wen Xian, shouted in shock. Sir, there is a communication. It seems to be from one of the troops that saved us. Quickly connect. No matter who the other party was, as long as they saved them, they were friends. Hello, Your Highness Prince Wen Xian. We are General Tang Bai's personal guards, the Black Dragon Fleet. We are here on General Tang Bai's orders to rescue you. Black Dragon Fleet. Wen Xian had never heard of this fleet, but since it was his brother-in-law's fleet, of course, he quickly let them come over. Then come over. Okay. Soon, the mighty fleet docked at the Wenrua Empire's spaceport. At a glance, there were more than 10,000 pitch-black battleships. However, the knowledgeable Wen Xian had never seen such battleships before. It was very strange. What model were these battleships? As Wang Zhong's men did not come down, he could not ask. The rebellion in the Wenrua Empire was quickly quelled, but the situation at the border was not eased yet. A few days later, the 10,000-plus Black Dragon battleships, together with Wang Zhong's Third Army and the remaining military forces of the Wenrua Empire, set off towards the Titan Empire. The Titan Empire was now powerful, so naturally, they were the first to know about Wang Zhong's Black Dragon battleships. However, as they were Wang Zhong's personal guards, the information about the battleships was top secret. They did not know what was so powerful about these battleships. For the time being, let's classify these Black Dragon battleships as advanced battleships. Just 10,000 of them are not worth mentioning. Send out 30,000 advanced battleships to fight. The Titan Empire's military was powerful. Soon 30,000 advanced battleships led the way, followed by hundreds of thousands of low-level battleships. What surprised everyone was that the Black Dragon fleet stopped moving when they got close to the battlefield. This confused Wang Zhong's Third Army and the Wenrua Empire's army. They did not know what was going on. One had to know that they were still out of range. If they stopped so early, they would not be able to hit the enemy. However, what happened next made everyone shut up. Because at this moment, the Black Dragon fleet fired their cannons. The main cannons were not even charged. Laser cannons were fired. The enemy's advanced battleships were disintegrated after just one shot. The Black Dragon battleships have such a long range. This is unbelievable. How is this possible? A battleship more powerful than an advanced battleship has appeared. The Wenrua Empire's side cheered. This battle dealt a heavy blow to the Titan Empire's main fleet. The Wenrua Empire followed up their victory. Within a year, the Titan Empire was forced to retreat. 2 years later, the Adalvan Empire declared war on the Titan Empire. This surprised everyone. Everyone cursed the Adalvan Empire for being shameless. Seeing that the Titan Empire was about to lose, they actually declared war on the Titan Empire. At the same time, the Titan Empire's former king, King Tef, who was only in his 40s, was murdered due to continuous defeats. After the murder, the Titan Empire surrendered to Wang Zhong's Black Dragon fleet. After the surrender, the members of the Wantai Federation proposed to occupy the Titan Empire and let the Titan Empire completely integrate into the Wantai Federation. However, Wang Zhong rejected this idea. In Wang Zhong's view, doing so would only make the people feel disgusted. He planned to only station an occupying army in the Titan Empire. He also announced that the Titan Empire was only allowed to have its own self-defense force. It was not allowed to develop a large-scale fleet. At the same time, he supported the pro-Wantai Federation members of the Titan Empire. Wang Zhong learned all of this from the United States. The United States stationed troops, supported pro-American parties, and suppressed political parties that were pro-American. This allowed the United States to have more and more say and influence. On the contrary, if they occupied the Titan Empire, it would only make the people feel disgusted. They might even develop anti-Wantai Federation. The Titan Empire was originally worried that the Wantai Federation's troops would be stationed there, which would be very troublesome. However, they later found that the Wantai Federation did not do anything to them. Instead, they maintained order and drove away wave after wave of interstellar pirates. Chapter 754. Another 3 years passed. Nowadays, the myriad Tai Federation's influence in the Titan Empire was very important. Although they were two different countries, they had already developed a subordinate relationship. The myriad Tai Federation was responsible for the security of the two countries, while the Titan Empire developed subordinate equipment, such as patrol ships, fighter jets, and mechas. Whenever the myriad Tai Federation and other countries caused trouble, the Titan Empire would be the first to stand up and provide necessary support. In addition, the myriad Tai Federation also had a subordinate relationship with the Wenrua Empire, which had been crippled in the past. Although the development of the Wenrua Empire's military power wasn't restricted, it still had the Wantai Federation's main fleet stationed there. Moreover, the Wantai Federation also had bases on various planets. Therefore, the Wenrua Empire listened to the Wantai Federation. The remaining Adarvan Empire had chosen to play safe. However, after the war ended, Wang Zhong immediately sent an army to declare war on the Adarvan Empire. He wanted to solve all the border problems of the myriad Tai Federation in one go. Wang Zhong had become the marshal of the myriad Tai Federation, and his influence was so great that even the president had to be polite to him. Therefore, after he declared war on the Adarvan Empire, no one in the myriad Tai Federation dared to say no. At the same time, the Titan Empire and the Wenrua Empire were eyeing the Adarvan Empire at the border, harassing them from time to time. It was clear that they were cooperating with the myriad Thai Federation to harass the Adarvan Empire. For a time, the Adarvan Empire was very nervous, discussing what to do next. Some people advocated fighting to the death, but soon others pointed out that the myriad Thai Federation was too strong, and they were no match for them, not to mention the Titan Empire and the Wonrua Empire. While they were discussing, an alarm suddenly sounded in their conference room. Then a guard rushed in and said, "Not good, not good, the Black Dragon fleet is floating in the capital's spaceport." What? How did they come? Adarvan Empire's monarch Ejak slammed the table and shouted, "What are those guards doing? Why didn't they stop them?" "They can't stop them. The Black Dragon fleet is too strong, and they have a stealth design. When we found them, their muzzles were already aimed at us. If we resist, the entire spaceport will be destroyed." What? These people had heard that the Black Dragon fleet was very strong, but they did not expect it to be so strong. "This war. We can't fight." Ike sat on the ground dispiritedly. 3 minutes later, the Adarvan Empire sent a surrender signal to the Black Dragon fleet. 3 hours later, all the fleet members from the Adarvan Empire shut down their engines and left the spaceport on their transport ships. From this day onwards, the Adalvan Empire's defense was under the control of the Thai Federation, and the Adalvan Empire was only allowed to have self-defense forces. At the same time, the monarch of the Adarvan Empire, the Adarvan clan, was only allowed to hold the position of monarch in name. Their authority was delegated to the Prime Minister and Parliament. In this way, the Adalvan Empire's power would be dispersed, which would be more beneficial to the Thai Federation's control. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was already 74 years old. On this day he heard that Yi Huihui's sister, Fatty Yi, was seriously ill, so he returned to his old haunt, Greenwater Planet. The current Greenwater Planet no longer had any slave communities or Steel City. This planet became as habitable as any other planet. In addition, this place became Wang Zhong's headquarters, producing all kinds of mechanical products. After arriving at Greenwater Planet, Wang Zhong knew that Fatty Yi was already dead. He sighed and had his subordinates bring her ashes to Yi Huihui's tombstone. In the next few decades, although there were some ups and downs, it was not a big problem for Wang Zhong. It was very simple. He had the help of 2 major artificial intelligences. They were Green Sun AI and Chidian AI. In addition, there was the huge mech empire. On many dead planets, even Wang Zhong did not know how many factories and mines there were. There were many robots building all kinds of warships and mechs. To be honest, Wang Zhong always had a headache about how to let humans and robots get along. He was also not very assured about the robots having consciousness. So he decided that the best outcome was for the robots to stay on the dead planets and for the robots to be separated from humans. This Green Sun and Chidian naturally knew. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was already 134 years old. Thanks to this world's superb medical technology, Wang Zhong still looked like a middle-aged man even at such an old age. This year, Wang Zhong and Princess Wenrua held a golden wedding, which was only held when one was 134 years old in this world. The meaning was that for a lifetime, 10,000 countries would come to pay their respects. All the known countries in the universe sent envoys to participate in the golden wedding. There was no other way. The current Thai Federation was second among the known countries, and no one dared to claim to be first. The known Black Dragon fleet now had 10 corps, each of which had hundreds of thousands of Black Dragon warships. As for the Thai Federation's warships, they added up to more than 500,000 warships. This combat power was actually on the same level as the United States, sweeping the whole world. However, Wang Zhong was not militaristic. He advocated for human peace and mutual exchange of culture and technology. It was because of his good policies that he was not only in awe of other countries, but also in true respect. After the golden wedding, night fell. When Ruo snuggled up to Wang Zhong's chest and whispered, "I used to fantasize about being an eternal empress, but I don't want to anymore." "Really? Well, that kind of thing is too tiring." It turns out that after liking someone, your interests and hobbies can really change. Princess Wenrua had really changed. She was no longer as good at scheming as before. It's good that you've figured it out, Wang Zhong said. Seeing that Wang Zhong seemed to have something on his mind, Wen Ruo asked, "Are you thinking about Yi Hui Hui? If she's still alive, you two should be very good friends." "Well, I think so too. Tang Bai, don't think too much. Rest early. By the way, have you heard about the Wall of the Universe?" Wang Zhong suddenly asked. The Wall of the Universe referred to the edge of the universe. A long time ago, some interstellar explorers of this world took spaceships to explore the outside world. They found the Wenrua Empire, the Titan Empire, the Wantai Federation. One by one, they found countries earlier, and their traces were getting farther and farther away. Finally, they came to the edge of the universe. That's right, the universe at this time had an edge. It was not boundless. At the edge of the universe, there was a thick, pitch-black, bumpy wall. The wall was made of stone, but the stone was very hard. Even the main cannons of the battleships could only scratch the surface of the wall. And this layer of skin would not take long to repair itself. Later, people found that the edge of their universe was full of such walls. Therefore, it was called the Wall of the Universe. Chapter 755. Tang Bai, why are you suddenly talking about the Wall of the Universe? Princess Wenrua was bewildered. If one were to ask what was the strangest thing in this world, it would probably be the cosmic wall. Many people guessed what was on the other side of the Wall of the Universe. Unfortunately, no one knew. Wang Zhong was also bewildered. I'm curious about what's on the other side. Aren't you curious? Of course I'm curious. But so what? That wall can't be broken at all. I'm going to lead a fleet to take a look. What? Princess Wenrua was surprised by Wang Zhong's decision. But surprisingly, she nodded in support. The universe is big, but the wall of the universe is indeed strange. Sometimes I wonder if there's another universe on the other side of the wall of the universe. And if there are other people living in that universe? Wang Zhong nodded. That must be it. 3 days later, Wang Zhong announced the formation of an expeditionary force to head to the Wall of the Universe. In addition to his Black Dragon fleet of 100,000, every country sent a fleet to follow Wang Zhong. After all, Wang Zhong was now the leader of these countries. When the leader said that he wanted to go and take a look, these countries naturally responded enthusiastically. At the same time, these countries had the same thoughts as Wang Zhong. They were curious about what was on the other side of the universe. The mighty fleet experienced more than half a year of voyage, and experienced more than 20 space jumps before finally arriving at the most barbaric border of the universe. The planets here were the furthest from the sun. The temperature on each planet was extremely low. It was a standard dead planet. After sailing for another half a month, the surroundings were gray, and the electronic interference began to increase. Wang Zhong sat in the starship and looked out the window. It was pitch black. The space jump system also failed here because there was too much interference around. There was a huge pressure in the vacuum. If an ordinary patrol ship was here, not to mention sailing, the weak power of the patrol ship would probably be extinguished by the pressure here. Therefore, the warships that could come here were at least mid-level warships. Moreover, mid-level warships traveled very slowly. Therefore, Wang Zhong came with the Black Dragon warship this time. The other countries brought advanced warships. The radar failed 100 kilometers away. It can't detect the situation there. Qidian walked over and said while controlling the device. At this moment, green sun appeared on the screen. I've also disconnected from the capital circle. I can only use this spaceship's computer program. Is the interference so strong? Thank you for your hard work, big sister. Wang Zhong thanked her. There's no need to thank me. Speaking of which, I'm also very interested in the Wall of the Universe, Green Sun said longingly. Maybe there's another world on the other side. Every time he entered the game, Wang Zhong would always consider one question. What kind of world was he in? Could it be that this universe was artificially created, and that there was an even wider world outside? Finally, the huge fleet arrived at the cosmic wall. The huge black wall stretched from bottom to top, stretching as far as the eye could see. However, If one were to look at it in a zoomed-out manner, it would be easy to notice that the wall of the universe was extending outwards in an arc. In other words, their universe was wrapped in the wall of the universe like a huge sphere. Drilling mech go. Wang Zhong ordered, and 3 red mechs that were larger than trucks flew from the deck of the aircraft carrier toward the wall of the universe. After arriving at the wall of the universe, the mech's limbs were firmly attached to the wall of the universe. Then a sharp drill bit gradually extended from the front end. This drilling mech was specially designed by Wang Zhong for the scientists to research on opening the wall of the universe. According to the calculations, the main cannon of the warship could only slightly break the wall of the universe. Therefore, a drilling machine used for mining was used. The front end of this drilling machine was made of high-hardness diamonds. It was specially designed to drill extremely hard objects deep in the earth. The 3 mechs began to operate at the same time. The drilling bit that used to be successful in the past slowed down significantly when it encountered the wall of the universe. However, the effect was indeed much better than using the main cannon of the warship. It was visible to the naked eye that in just an hour, the wall of the universe had been penetrated by 1 millimeter. Don't underestimate this millimeter. 1 millimeter per hour, 10 hours would be 1 centimeter. 100 hours, that would be 1 meter. As long as these 3 mechs had the energy, they would be able to break the wall of the universe one day. The drilling of the wall of the universe had been going on. Every 3 months, a huge transport team would come here to transport living materials. Anyway, there was nothing else to do, so Wang Zhong went back first. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was 145 years old. His hair was white, but he was still in good spirits. Now he had delegated his power to the Prime Minister. Apart from the Black Dragon fleet, he no longer cared about political affairs. The only thing he did was to check the progress of drilling the wall of the universe with Wenrua. After so many years, the wall of the universe had been drilled very deep. The drill bit was also getting longer and longer. Unfortunately, it still hadn't reached the end. Old woman, it seems that we won't be able to wait until the day the wall of the universe is drilled open. Looking at the progress of the wall of the universe, he sighed. But at this time, the figure of Green Sun suddenly appeared on his electronic bracelet. She said anxiously, "The wall of the universe. The wall of the universe has been penetrated." "What? It's been penetrated?" Hearing this news, Wang Zhong, this old bag of bones, almost sent him away. Fortunately, when Ruo quickly massaged his back. "Honey, don't get too excited. Otherwise, your blood pressure will rise again," when Ruo said while looking at the blood pressure sign on Wang Zhong's electronic bracelet. Yes, calm down, calm down." Wang Zhong took a deep breath and looked at Green Sun on the screen. "Big sister, how is the situation?" "Just as you guessed, that world is also a universe. However, the situation may be a little different from here. I'll go and take a look." On the same day, Wang Zhong and Wenrua boarded a spaceship and led a huge fleet to the wall of the universe. On the way, Wang Zhong learned about the other side of the wall of the universe. There was only one sun in that universe. There were no battleships in the universe. The scarcity of humans made the technology of that world not very developed. Therefore, humans still stayed on the planet. After arriving, Wang Zhong immediately arranged a small drone to go to that world through a small hole drilled. 3 years later, the drone finally arrived at a planet. The soil of this planet was all white. There were also traces of human activities. However, the difference was that the humans here were facing a huge disaster. Chapter 756. Wang Zhong sat in front of a huge screen. The screen was showing the situation of the universe transmitted by the drone. Fortunately, the space jump device had been miniaturized, so the drone was equipped with a space jump device. That was why it could understand this universe in just 3 years. This was the only planet in this universe with signs of human activity. The problem was that the humans on this planet were facing unprecedented trouble. In a low house, a pair of lovers shivered and hid in a cupboard. A huge figure slowly walked past them. The figure had slender arms and an uncoordinated walking posture like a zombie. He was even taller than the couple's house. He slowly lifted the roof. At this time, the giant showed his sharp teeth and stuck out his scarlet tongue. He lifted the couple up and threw them into his mouth. Such a scene was playing out in many places in this place. It was obvious that this was a city where ordinary people lived. However, at this moment, it was in chaos. Many giants appeared outside the city. These giants fed on ordinary people. They rushed into the tall city walls and swallowed the fleeing humans. A planet with giants. Wang Zhong was very surprised. He had been to many planets, and every planet had many strange and bizarre creatures. However, he had never seen a planet with a giant's body like this before. The key was that these giants didn't eat people for survival. They ate them for fun. Yes, for fun. Every time they bit someone to death, the giant would casually throw the body away, and then kill another person. These giants are so scary. Seeing this scene, Wenrua was terrified. Poor humans. Because they haven't developed technology, they have become so weak. LV Yang sighed. There's nothing worth seeing in this universe. Use high-hardness alloy to block the hole here. After giving the order, Wang Zhong left. In the next few years, Wang Zhong had the mecha drill holes all over the universe. He found something very surprising. Drilling holes in different areas led to different universes. There was a universe that was still in the agricultural era, but the people there practiced martial arts. There was a universe that was also a modern civilization. However, there were ghosts in that world. Every family had to return to their home with talismans at 9 o'clock at night. Otherwise, they would be killed by the ghosts. Encountering these terrifying universes, Wang Zhong ordered these places to be sealed. After that, Wang Zhong discovered an even more mystical universe. That place was like an immortal world. Many people could fly on their swords and roam the sky. However, not many could enter the universe. After seeing this place, Wang Zhong decided to hide it from the world. After all, the idea of possessing divine power was too fascinating. Moreover, the immortals in that world had lifespans of thousands of years. At such an age, who wouldn't yearn for it? It was precisely because the impact was too great that this place was sealed off. In the future, no one is allowed to open the cosmic wall. After seeing these strange universes, Wang Zhong decided to stay away from these dangerous universes that he could not understand. However, although he wasn't prepared to do so, the others didn't think so. On this day, Wang Zhong was already 177 years old. At this age, ordinary people would have died long ago. Very few people could live for so long. However, Wang Zhong had managed to survive until this day. As for Wenrua, she had already died 10 years ago. And today, Wang Zhong was gradually dying. He was lying on the hospital bed. Just as he was about to die, a shocking news came. It turned out that his and Wenrua's son, Tang Zhong, had accidentally learned about the cultivation universe. He was tempted. He wanted to obtain the power of an immortal. He wanted to fly in the air. He wanted to live to thousands of years old. He wanted to obtain the ability to move mountains and fill seas. These powers that only immortals possessed were indeed fascinating. Now Wang Zhong had completely delegated power. The two artificial intelligences LV Yang and Qidian did not observe state affairs most of the time. Therefore, Tang Zhong led 10,000 advanced warships to the cosmic wall. He wanted to open the cultivation universe. He wanted to go over and obtain the power of an immortal. By the time Wang Zhong found out, it was already too late. His son Tang Zhong's private guards had successfully broken through a passage that allowed them to pass through a patrol ship. Tang Zhong sent soldiers one by one. He wanted to find the secret of immortality. However, things did not develop as smoothly as Tang Zhong had expected. Before the soldiers' airship could land, it was slapped away by an immortal. After barely landing, they encountered two evil cultivators who used living people to refine medicine. 3 of the 10 soldiers were killed in an instant. The remaining 7 soldiers were scattered all over the place. One of them met a beautiful woman. After a one-night stand, the soldier was sucked dry. One of the soldiers entered an inn. That night he was chopped into meat sauce and made into barbecued pork buns. Another person entered a sect. A few days later, he was plotted against by his fellow sect members and died a miserable death. What kind of world is this? Through the long-distance transmission system on these soldiers, Tang Zhong watched these videos in horror. The owners of these videos were all dead. From these videos, it could be seen that although that world was a cultivation world, it seemed that because of cultivation, the people there were no longer called people. In order to cultivate, the son sacrificed his parents. The alchemist used living people to refine medicine. The master used his disciple as a furnace. The disciple peeped at the master's magic treasures and pills. Every one of them was abnormal. The normal ones were the ordinary people of that world. However, the ordinary people regarded those immortals as gods and thought that they were omnipotent. Therefore, they desperately wanted to send their children to cultivate. But who knew that after cultivating, they would embark on a path of no return? On this path, there were no feelings because those who had feelings were all dead. Tang Zhong was indeed afraid, but he still decided to send people over again. But soon, a problem appeared. No one expected that there were some ancient almighty beings on that planet. These almighty beings could create a new world. Once they found a spaceship. After interrogating a soldier, they learned that Wang Zhong and the others were in this universe. So they came over. There were 3 people who had the ability to travel through the universe. After arriving at the wall of the universe, they arrived at the universe where Wang Zhong was. Immediately, several battleships opened fire at them, but it was useless. These 3 people were like top-notch human-shaped battleships with unparalleled defensive power. The attacks of these battleships could not cause any damage to them at all. Then, they blasted the battleships away with a palm. Ha ha ha, this world is interesting. There are so many people. An old man with white hair stroked his beard and laughed. I can finally use the population of a planet as I wish to refine medicine for myself. Chapter 757. As soon as the white-haired old man's voice fell, he wiped the wreckage of the warships floating in the universe and instantly turned them into cosmic dust. Then, the white-haired old man rushed to the nearest planet. He spread out his divine sense and scanned the planet. Then he took out a huge cauldron and laughed. There are so many people. Come and become my medicine. Old Yao's strength has improved again. A man surrounded by black fog smiled coldly. Since he went there, I'll go somewhere else. He licked his lips. I wonder how the people of this world taste like. He spread out his divine sense and checked the nearest planet before rushing over. 2 perverts. The one who spoke was the last man in white. He was elegant and held a folding fan in his hand. After he spread out his divine sense, his eyes lit up. The women of this world dress well. They are all mine. With a sinister smile, he flew out as well. The massacre caused by these 3 people soon shocked the entire universe. The white-haired old man was called Old Yao, and he used the entire planet's population to refine medicine. Although this poor country sent a fleet to rescue them, it was too late. The entire planet was covered in blood, and the blood turned into a long river that flowed into Old Yao's cauldron. The man surrounded by black fog was called Blood Demon. He cultivated an evil technique and became stronger by sucking people's essence and blood. He also killed tens of millions of people at once and absorbed their essence and blood. The remaining one was nicknamed Scholar. He looked gentle and refined, but he secretly cultivated the joyous union technique. He sucked people's essence and blood by making love with them. After one night, the women usually turned into dried corpses. Killing people one by one was no longer enough to satisfy him. He usually collected thousands of women and absorbed their essence and blood for his cultivation. In just 7 days, 3 planets became dead planets. At the same time, the people of this country were in a panic. The president, prime minister, and the commander-in-chief of the military contacted the Wantai Federation at the same time and asked for support. They sent out the Black Dragon fleet to save the people. Wang Zhong was seriously ill, and Tang Zhong was worried that his father would blame him, so he had sent people to hide the situation from the outside world. He sent out his 50,000 Black Dragon fleet to Old Herbman's place. The reason why he went there was simple. He thought that Old Yao was old and would be easy to deal with. However, after coming to this planet that was filled with medicinal fragrance, he realized that he was wrong. As soon as they entered this area, his Black Dragon fleet discovered that the magnetic field was disturbed. Then they saw a white-haired old man sitting on a medicine cauldron, floating in the air and staring at them coldly. I hate it the most when people disturb me while I'm refining medicine. All of you deserve death. He stepped forward and punched the Black Dragon battleship. The Black Dragon battleship's defensive power was much stronger. It only had a hole and did not cause a huge explosion. Fire! Tang Zhong, who was at the rear, had also been taught by the military academy. He immediately ordered them to aim and fire. Beams of laser cannons shot out. Old Herb Man sneered. His figure flashed and dodged the attack. Then he took out his medicine cauldron. The cauldron expanded in the wind and crashed toward the fleet. Boom boom boom. No matter how tough the Black Dragon fleet was, they were still crushed by the cauldron. Their attacks did not even cause a small wound on Old Yao's body. Retreat, retreat. Tang Zhong hurriedly ordered, but it was too late. Old Herb Man raised his hand and clapped. The huge force killed all the engines of the Black Dragon fleet. The warships fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. The 50,000 Black Dragon fleet was destroyed just like that. The matter was too big. The news could not be concealed at all. Soon, everyone knew that the Black Dragon fleet was completely destroyed. The whole world was in a state of panic. One must know that in this world, the Black Dragon fleet represented the highest power. Ever since the Black Dragon fleet appeared, no fleet had ever been defeated. But this time, not only were they defeated, but they were also completely wiped out. Are we really going to fail? God, what should we do? Even the Black Dragon fleet has been defeated. We are really going to become food for those three villains. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be eaten. Everyone screamed in despair. At this time, Wang Zhong's condition was getting worse. Even so, important figures from the Myriad Titan Federation, Onrua Empire, Titan Empire, a Darwin Empire, and other countries gathered in Wang Zhong's ward. Because they knew that Wang Zhong still had a lot of Black Dragon fleets in his hands. He might probably have a way to save their universe. I'm sorry, Elder Tang is seriously ill. If possible, it's best not to see him. The attending doctor was very worried about Wang Zhong's condition. But the seventh planet has been destroyed. We can't just sit and wait for death. The new Prime Minister of the Myriad Titan Federation, Yang Tian, said excitedly. Only Elder Tang can save us. If he falls, we are finished. Yes, yes. The attending doctor was in a difficult position. He represented the best medical technology on this planet. He could say very responsibly that if Elder Tang was stimulated, he might send him away at once. Unfortunately, this group of people in front of him were all important political figures from all over the world. Now that the people outside were in a terrible situation, perhaps only Elder Tang could save them. Let us in. Yang Tian continued. He resisted the urge to let his guards arrest the attending doctor because he also understood that the other party was only thinking about Elder Tang's health. In the end, the attending doctor agreed to their request, but only allowed them to enter. Soon the three people with the most weight went in. Elder Tang. Yang Tian bent over and looked at Wang Zhong on the hospital bed and called out softly. Wang Zhong was already awake, but his body was exhausted and he didn't want to care about so many things. Seeing someone come in, Wang Zhong opened his eyes and said unhappily, "What's the matter?" Yang Tian organized his words and explained the situation in the simplest way possible. After speaking, Yang Tian said in shame, "That's the situation. We can't come up with a good solution for this matter. Now that the Black Dragon fleet has been wiped out, only your subordinates are left. Elder Tang, please make a decision." Bastard! Wang Zhong was so angry that his nose became crooked when he heard this. What did I tell you? Didn't I say that opening the universe wall is forbidden? Those worlds are not for ordinary people like us. Why didn't you listen? Who is it? Who opened the universe wall? Wang Zhong shouted angrily. The three people in the room were afraid to speak. In fact, Wang Zhong had already become the most powerful person in the world. It could be said that as long as he was alive, anyone who wanted to hold an important position would need Wang Zhong's approval. What's wrong? Why aren't you talking? Wang Zhong roared again. In the end, Yang Tian walked over trembling and said, It's your son Tang Zhong. He opened the universe wall. Chapter 758. It's your son Tang Zhong. He opened the wall of the universe. My son? Wang Zhong was stunned. Yes, everyone was worried that you would be angry, so they didn't dare to tell you. But this matter can't be hidden anymore. Wow, so it's my son who opened the wall of the universe. Wang Zhong smiled, and a sharp light flashed in his turbid eyes. No wonder Tang Zhong has been avoiding my eyes these few times. It turns out that he is hiding something from me. Bring Tang Zhong to me. Got it, Elder Tang. 3 hours later, Tang Zhong was brought over in a daze. Wang Zhong stood up with the help of someone. Dad, why did you call me over? Tang Zhong asked in horror. Wang Zhong's eyes were like lightning, as if he could see through Tang Zhong. This light made Tang Zhong tremble in fear. Dad, I don't have a son like you. Wang Zhong shook his head. You disappoint me too much. As soon as the words fell, Wang Zhong took out his pistol and shot Tang Zhong dead with a bang. Everyone was stunned. Immediately after, everyone was in awe. This was the legendary courage of Elder Tang. In the face of the big picture, family and so on were fleeting clouds. Tang Zhong had made a big mistake, so Wang Zhong put justice before family and didn't leave any face. Drag the body out. Next, I'll think about what to do next. Wang Zhong's tone was flat, as if he was talking about a trivial matter. Yes, Elder Tang. After the body was dealt with, Wang Zhong learned about the situation. Old Yao blood demon scholar. Wang Zhong murmured. After he learned about the cultivation methods of these 3 people, he immediately realized that these 3 people were most likely evil cultivators. And that world was occupied by evil cultivators. Evil cultivators were in power, and the righteous sects had declined. It was indeed difficult to get rid of these 3 people. After thinking about it, Wang Zhong decided to deal with blood demon first. The blood demon cultivated by sucking blood. As long as his blood was cut off, he wouldn't be able to absorb energy. He would definitely be exhausted to death. On the other hand, Wang Zhong had also thought of a very good idea, which was the weakness of the blood demon. Thus Wang Zhong gave the order. The 50,000 Black Dragon fleet, which consisted of 50,000 battleships of various sizes, headed toward the planet where the blood demon resided. Most of the people on this planet had been killed, and the blood devil was now in a sea of blood. The sea of blood around him seemed to have a mind of its own. It was boiling and roaring. Blood devil half closed his eyes and sighed comfortably. The quality of the people on this planet is so good. Compared to where I used to live, the people there were all skinny and weak. But the people here are full of essence, blood, and nutritious. It's really good. Therefore, he needed to pollute the blood in his body now. On the screen, the drone team sank into the blood pool. All kinds of modern chemical poisons were released in the blood pool. Seeing that the drone team's plan was successful, Wang Zhong heaved a sigh of relief. The low-level battleship fleet has been annihilated. Behind Wang Zhong, an officer lowered his head. This officer was the robot instructor, Lin Wui. He was mourning for his people and the robot army. That's right, all the robots were involved in this battle. These robots were injected with all kinds of chemical blood for the blood demon to absorb and pollute his blood. Although these robots did not have any intelligence or thoughts, Lin Wui still felt sad to see so many of his people die. However, the plan was extremely successful. After absorbing the tainted blood, the blood demon cursed in his heart. He had no choice but to return to the blood pool to absorb the fresh blood. However, he was soon stunned in the blood pool. The fresh blood was emitting a foul smell. His pale face became even paler. My blood. How did it become like this? The blood demon climbed out of the blood pool. Because the blood in his body was contaminated, he could not summon any strength. At this moment, an armored team appeared. These were all Krypton armored teams. They raised their guns and fired as soon as they arrived. Bang, 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 boom, boom, boom. Countless attacks landed on the blood demon's body, forcing him to retreat again and again. You bunch of rats, what method are you using? The blood demon roared in anger, but it was useless. He could only watch as his strength became weaker and weaker. Chapter 759. On the screen, Wang Zhong and the officers behind him breathed a sigh of relief after seeing the blood demon fall. Soon, the black dragon fleet arrived from all directions and attacked the blood demon. The blood demon's power was getting weaker and weaker until he finally turned into a mass of black blood. The blood demon of this generation had fallen. Wang Zhong knew how difficult it would be to deal with these cultivators. Seeing the blood demon finally die, he said in a deep voice, "The next step is to deal with that scholar." Well, Elder Tang has a way. All the people present were full of admiration. The blood demon has fallen. The old medicine man, who was still refining medicine, pinched his fingers and opened his eyes. He smiled and said, "I didn't expect the rats of this world to have some skills. Unfortunately, their luck won't be so good now. When I finish refining the divine medicine, this group of rats will be my medicinal ingredients." On the other side, the scholar, who was lying on a bed, threw a new dry corpse off the bed and said, "Hey, the blood demon's aura is gone. Did this guy kick the bucket? He's really a piece of trash." Suddenly his mind stirred. This was because he sensed something interesting. A lot of warships had come in the starry sky. Are they here to deliver food again? He stood up and entered the universe using earth shrinking. A group of ants dares to make a move in front of this scholar. Go to hell. Just as he was about to attack, a voice suddenly came from the warship. This voice came from a special device that could transmit sound in a vacuum. "Your Excellency, Scholar, I'm Lin Haowen, the commander of the Wantai Federation's transport team. I've been ordered by my superiors to send you 3,000 girls. 3,000 girls. The scholar narrowed his eyes and asked, "Why are you sending them to me?" "Sir, I admire your Excellency's peerless martial arts. You're an outstanding person. I request you to be the emperor. The entire universe will listen to your orders." "Ha ha ha. Good. Your sir is quite sensible." Wang Zhong took in everything that was happening before his eyes. He was a cultivator and knew that cultivators were very strong. No matter how advanced their technology was, it was still not enough to deal with them. However, because cultivators had been in seclusion for a long time, they did not understand the ways of the world, and did not know that they might be deceiving them. The scholar nodded proudly and said, "Let me see." The scholar walked forward and entered one of the battleships. As expected, there were many women lying inside. "Ha ha ha, not bad. Let's sleep here." The scholar was dissolute by nature and did things without restraint. After he finished speaking, he began to cultivate. But at this moment, the warship suddenly exploded. Black hole bomb was the most powerful explosion in the universe. Its power was comparable to a black hole. The downside was that the black hole bombs couldn't be fired, so they hadn't used the black hole bombs to deal with these cultivators before. Now the scholar had finally been lured over, and the black hole bomb was detonated. In order to let the scholar walk into the interior of the battleship by himself, Wang Zhong had spent a lot of money. More than 5,000 battleships exploded at the same time. Every warship was filled with humanoid robots. The explosion of 5,000 black hole bombs turned the area into a huge black hole. Behind the black hole, the scholar was blown to smithereens. The scholar had fallen just like that. That's great. Only old Yao is left. Looking at the huge explosion at the front line, the people in the meeting hall shouted excitedly. Wang Zhong said, "Everyone, don't get too excited. This blood demon and the scholar are relatively easy to deal with. However, this old man is not easy to deal with." "Elder Tang, why do you say that?" The people around him were puzzled. "Did you notice that this old man's medicine cauldron can change its size? It's obviously not an ordinary item. According to my estimation, this medicine cauldron has the defensive power to resist the black hole bomb, so it can't be underestimated. So powerful." Everyone was shocked. Although they didn't know how Elder Tang knew this, no one dared to question him. "Elder Tang, how do we deal with this old man? Although this old man is old, he has killed the most people. Blood Demon and the scholar only killed a few people to practice their skills. But this old medicine man used the entire planet's population to fill his medicine cauldron. It's terrifying. Yeah, the number of people this man has killed is several times more than Blood Demon and the scholar combined." Listening to the complaints of the people around him, Wang Zhong waved his hand and said, I know. I'm going to do that. 3 days later. 3 days later. Old Yao was refining medicine alone. This blood demon and the scholar are really weak. They were actually killed by a group of ants. Old Yao sneered and looked at the people screaming in the cauldron. He sighed and said, if I take this cauldron of medicine back, I'll definitely be the world's #1 pharmacist. The Pharmacist Association and whatnot will have to stand aside. At this moment, with a thought, countless fleets came from the universe again. This group of ants wants to deal with me. Fine, I'll go and meet them. Old Yao shrank the earth into inches and entered the universe. He didn't waste time and raised his hand to turn several warships into powder. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons. The warships fired their laser cannons. Unfortunately, Old Yao didn't even think about dodging. If he entered a place where there was no one, every warship that came close would explode. When he attacked, a robot squad quietly entered the place where he placed the medicine cauldron. This robot squad was carrying out Wang Zhong's plan. Old Yao was indeed very strong, but a large part of his strength came from this medicine cauldron. If the medicine cauldron was gone, Old Yao would lose his source of strength. At that time, everything would be simple. The robot squad successfully entered the medicine cauldron. With a click, a black warhead the size of an arm appeared in the cauldron's stomach. The external defense of this medicine cauldron might be amazing, but the internal defense is definitely weak. Wang Zhong thought. After the bomb was placed, the robot squad left. The warships in the universe had finally completed their mission of buying time. They were all wiped out. Old Yao stood with his hands behind his back in disdain. He looked at the countless wreckage of the warships and said, You guys overestimate yourselves. Wait until I succeed in my divine technique. All of you will be my medicine. Returning to the planet, he entered the medicine cauldron as usual and began the blood sacrifice. Wang Zhong, after checking through the satellite, decisively ordered, detonate. This time, there were a total of hundreds of nuclear warheads placed in the medicine cauldron. With Wang Zhong's order, the nuclear warheads exploded. There was a buzzing sound inside the medicine cauldron, and a huge explosion was heard. The legendary treasure, the immortal refining medicine cauldron, exploded. The power produced by the explosion of such a treasure was no small matter. When the smoke dispersed, everyone could only see Old Yao's stooped body slowly crawling on the ground. Everyone's expression changed greatly. This immortal cultivator was indeed powerful. Such an explosion actually didn't kill him. What should they do now? Robot squad, even if we have to grind him to death. Wang Zhong ordered. Chapter 760. Although Old Herb Man was still breathing, he was in a very bad state. He crawled on the ground with difficulty, cursing the people of this world for being despicable. They actually sneaked into his medicine cauldron and planted something that could explode. The defense of his medicine cauldron was indeed amazing, but the inside was weak. Under the explosion, he suffered a backlash. Not only did his realm drop, but he was also seriously injured. This was unbearable. At this time, the surrounding robot squads rushed over fearlessly. If you dare to come near me, I'll kill you. Old Herb Man tried to threaten them. But he didn't know that these robot squads didn't have intelligence at all. This battle took more than a month before Old Herb Man was gradually tortured to death. After it was over, Wang Zhong ordered that every country should carry out a deep reflection to prevent such a thing from happening again. As for the place where the wall had been opened, Wang Zhong ordered it to be blocked again. This matter was recorded in history under his request. He asked everyone to remember that the wall of the universe couldn't be opened. Anyone who opened the wall of the universe would be dealt with capital punishment. After the battle ended, within a few days, Wang Zhong's body became more and more unbearable. He fell on the bed and fell into a coma. While in a coma, he had a dream. In this dream, he returned to the past. He was just a slave who wanted to become an upper-class person. After sneaking into the Steel City where the upper-class people lived, he found that the Steel City wasn't as good as he thought. There was a wider universe above his head. There were even other universes beyond this universe. This world was infinitely big. Maybe this dream is real. This was Wang Zhong's last thought. In reality, on the display screen that showed Wang Zhong's vital signs, a horizontal line was drawn. Wang Zhong left with a faint smile on his face. Elder Tang has left. Outside the ward, countless dignitaries and leaders of various countries took off their hats and bowed their heads in silent tribute. At the same time, in the universe, the Black Dragon fleet surrounded the planet, preparing to take away Wang Zhong's body. The Black Dragon fleet was now officially under the management of Qi Dian and Liu Yang. After so long, these two artificial intelligences only had one human friend, Wang Zhong. After Wang Zhong's death, they did not want to stay here any longer. They wanted to bring Wang Zhong's body to the Machine Kingdom. Wang Zhong's death was quickly broadcast by the major media and television stations in every country. The people of every country deeply remembered this legendary figure. It was said that Elder Tang was born in a desolate galaxy where slavery still existed. He was born as a slave. After that, he had relied on his own hard work to get to where he was today. He created a true grand unification of the entire universe without occupying the territories of other countries. He had also saved the entire universe from the hands of those immortal cultivators. He was the savior. This was what the leaders of many countries said to the people when they announced Wang Zhong's death. The savior, Tang Bai, had left. The legendary life of a slave had come to an end. Mission character, Slave Bai. Mission objective. I don't want to die on the battlefield. I don't want to be a slave. I want to climb up. I want to be the ruler of the upper class. Lifespan, 154 years. Partner. 2. They are all ahead of you, which makes you feel a little bad. Offspring. 2. One died young. The other was executed by you. Achievement evaluation. Although you have no children, you have become the most well-known and most powerful man in the universe since ancient times. You are the uncrowned king. You have created a flourishing universe that no one has ever created before. Reward obtained. 134,822 experience points. To be honest, Wang Zhong was shocked when he saw the experience points. This was the most experience points he had ever received since he started playing the game. After thinking about it, Wang Zhong knew why. It was simple. In this life, he had reached the peak of his life. He had become the most powerful person in the entire universe. He opened his eyes. It was still a familiar place. The ancient battlefield. Wang Zhong sat cross-legged on the ground. The sun had already risen, and the morning breeze blew over, making one feel relaxed and happy. After eating some crabs, Wang Zhong was ready to walk around. After all, although his memories would be sealed after the end of the game, Wang Zhong still felt a faint sense of emptiness in his heart. Sometimes he would think of these memories in his sleep. They were so realistic and familiar. So he had to walk around and let the memories fade. After eating, a mission prompt appeared in front of him. Bing. Successfully unlocked a new reborn creature. Creature, actress Xiao Dai. Mission objective. I'm so pretty, beautiful, kind, cute and curvy, but why is life so miserable for me? My stepfather wants to molest me. My neighbor Old Wang wants to touch me. The girls at school are jealous of me, and the boys pester me. It's so hard for me. I want to be strong, and not be bullied by anyone. Seeing the message, Wang Zhong was stunned. What's the situation? Never in his wildest dreams would Wang Zhong have imagined that this option would appear. Become a girl, and a curvy one at that. Suddenly, Wang Zhong felt awkward. After thinking about it carefully, his expression changed. He remembered that this reborn creature had appeared before. He didn't expect it to appear again. What should he do? It's too hard for me. Most importantly, there was only one choice this time. This meant that he could only choose this. Plop. This was the first time Wang Zhong felt so helpless and pitiful. If that's the case, I have to learn how to adapt to a girl's life. Wang Zhong clenched his fist. He could use his weakest body to fight the enemy and capture the beast. But how to learn how to live a girl's life? He felt that the sky of the whole world had darkened. No, I can't think like this. Wang Zhong pulled himself together and comforted himself. This is just a game. It's just a game. Although it's realistic, but alright, he couldn't make it up anymore. Because he felt that this was real. No matter what, the game had been released. What he had to do next was to use the environment in front of him to learn how to live a girl's life. Although Wang Zhong had a lot of wives in the past, the problem was that he usually only knew how to take off his clothes, and didn't pay much attention to how to dress. Wang Zhong furrowed his brows when he thought about the complicated designs of the clothes. What should I do? Looking at the deserted Dahai in front of him and the vast white fog, Wang Zhong felt a lot of pressure. Forget it. Let's leave this place and walk around. Hopefully, I can find some girls and ask them for advice. Wang Zhong adjusted his attitude because he felt that his thoughts were very simple. He just wanted to ask for advice on how to dress and how to change when one's period came. This was normal, right? Chapter 761. What a strong skeleton soldier. Miss Zhao, these skeleton soldiers can't be killed, and will only exhaust our strength. Retreat quickly. On the ancient battlefield, Zhao Meng and her group were facing a crisis. Zhao Meng was the woman who brought Wang Zhong into the spiritual Qi small world. After Wang Zhong was valued by the spirit dream sect, Zhao Meng also valued Wang Zhong and hoped to hug Wang Zhong's thigh. However, when they entered the ancient battlefield, the two of them were separated. After that, Zhao Meng wandered alone and obtained some small opportunities. Gradually, her courage grew and she went deeper. Later on, she met some like-minded friends. Although they were from other sects, they got along well and moved together. They didn't expect to encounter trouble as they walked. This was a land of skeletons. Originally, it was nothing much. However, they found some skeletons buried here, and occasionally found some fragments of ancient divine artifacts. These fragments were not to be underestimated. These fragments were fragments of artifacts used by the Almighty in the ancient times. Even after so many years, these fragments still contained a trace of the Almighty's powerful energy. If anyone could comprehend this trace of energy, it could be said that they could definitely reach a higher level, or even break through. However, no one expected that not long after they stepped into this place, the skeleton fragments on the ground all revived. These skeleton fragments pieced together and formed a human figure. These human figures stood up. Two people couldn't dodge in time, and were directly stabbed to death. In the blink of an eye, Zhao Meng and her group were surrounded. Now only Zhao Meng, 2 men and 1 woman were left. These 2 men and 1 woman were from the same sect. In the face of danger, all of them had to retreat. Zhao Meng naturally wanted to leave, but the surrounding skeletons revived more and more. At first, they were all small skeletons. However, they soon realized that something was wrong. Not far away, some large skeletons began to grow taller and bigger. Such large skeletons were generally very strong. They couldn't deal with them at all. Sure enough, a skeleton as tall as 2 people was already standing in front of Zhao Meng and her group. The skeleton's eyes flickered with green light. After a low roar, it grabbed at Zhao Meng. Ah! Zhao Meng groaned as 3 bloody scratches appeared on her back. Immediately after, her back quickly turned purple. It was obvious that the claws of this huge skeleton were highly toxic. Miss Zhao. When the others saw this, they instantly felt uneasy. A boy quickly grabbed Zhao Meng's arm, and prepared to drag her out. But at this time, another giant skeleton appeared behind them. It's over. This was the thought of everyone present. Bang! Bang! Fortunately, at this moment, a giant sword slashed down from above, splitting the giant skeleton in half. Wang Zhong. Seeing Wang Zhong holding the limitless sword, Zhao Meng was delighted. She was well aware of Wang Zhong's strength. He was the most valued genius among their group. The fact that he was willing to lend a hand proved that he had the confidence to resolve the current predicament. Senior Sister Zhao, are you alright? Wang Zhong glanced at Zhao Meng's back and asked. I can still walk. Wang Zhong nodded slightly and said to the other 2 men and 1 woman. You guys go out, I'll bring up the rear. These skeletons are very difficult to deal with. Even if we break them, these bones will soon be put back together. A boy with a crew cut said to Wang Zhong. Is that so? Wang Zhong glanced at the skeletons on the ground. Sure enough, these broken bones began to slowly gather together. It seemed that they were about to turn back into a human shape. Let's go. The boy with the crew cut pulled his junior brother and sister away. Wang Zhong helped Zhao Meng up. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you, Zhao Meng said weakly. She was very grateful. Wang Zhong glanced at Zhao Meng's clothes embarrassedly. He was about to enter the game. In the game, he was a girl. He should ask Zhao Meng about some things about girls. While retreating, Wang Zhong was already thinking about speaking to Zhao Meng. But if he said it too directly, would he be treated as a pervert? After thinking about it, Wang Zhong decided not to say it. He would just observe in secret. The might of the limitless sword was powerful because it was an artifact. With a sweep of the sword, groups of skeleton soldiers fell down like chopping vegetables. After a while, Wang Zhong brought Zhao Meng to meet up with the 2 men and 1 woman. The boy with the crew cut was called Jin Lilai. The other man was his junior brother. His skin was darker and was called Huang Dongqing. The woman was a blonde girl called Aisha. It was said that she was a mixed-blood beauty. This senior brother is really strong. Huang Dongqing looked at the sword in Wang Zhong's hand enviously and said, "Thank you, senior brother." Jin Lilai also said. Aisha patted her small chest and said, "Miss Xiao, is this person from the same sect as you?" "Yes, he is my junior brother, but his strength is far above mine," Zhao Meng said. Wang Zhong looked around and said, "It is very dangerous here at night. If you want to go, go to my place first. Rest for a while and treat Zhao Meng's injuries." "Miss Xiao, although the wound on your back is not deep, the color is showing signs of black. You have to quickly detoxify it," Aisha reminded her. As she spoke, as if to verify Aisha's words, Zhao Meng suddenly felt weak and was about to collapse. Wang Zhong hurriedly supported her and said to everyone, "Let's go." In the afternoon, Wang Zhong brought the 4 of them back to the temporary cave. They were very satisfied with this place. Facing the Dahai, they were surrounded by beaches. The environment was very comfortable. Most importantly, they could eat a lot of seafood here. These were all good things. Only Zhao Meng had already fainted. This made Aisha and the others a little worried. Fortunately, Wang Zhong said that he knew some medical skills and was prepared to detoxify her. "You guys stay outside. I will treat Zhao Meng in the cave." Wang Zhong nodded. Jin Lilai and Huang Dongqing also knew that Zhao Meng was a girl after all. It was not convenient to take off her clothes outside to treat her injuries, so they needed to be in the cave. "I will go to the sea to catch something to eat and cook dinner for everyone," Huang Dongqing said. "Senior brother Wang, if there is anything you need help with, just say it." Jin Lilai sighed. "Speaking of which, although we are not familiar with Miss Xiao, we have supported each other along the way. Seeing her like this really makes us worried." "That's right. Senior brother Wang, I'm counting on you," Aisha said. "Of course." Wang Zhong entered the cave while Aisha stood guard outside not far away. Wang Zhong looked at the wound on Zhao Meng's back. This injury was indeed a sign of poisoning. However, this poison was not serious. She only needed to inject spirit energy to force the poison out. Looking at the unconscious Zhao Meng, Wang Zhong had an idea. "How about, I see how she wears her bra while she is unconscious? Damn, there are actually several straps." Wang Zhong scratched his head. He had a headache. He pulled lightly. It was over. He used too much force and the straps broke. Chapter 762. Wang Zhong was a little dumbfounded. "The quality of this girl's clothes is too poor. I didn't even use any strength, but the belt broke." He shook his head. Fortunately, Zhao Meng was unconscious and didn't know the situation. Otherwise, he didn't know what she would think. "She'll probably think I'm an idiot." Wang Zhong sighed. He didn't expect to have such a day. It was too embarrassing. Wang Zhong shook off his thoughts and continued to observe. Finally, he found a hidden buckle. He gently removed it, and the entire bra fell off and popped out. This design is really good. Then Wang Zhong detoxified Zhao Meng while continuing to study. Because Zhao Meng had long hair, he even studied how Zhao Meng tied her hair. After all, many people might not know that the longer one's hair was, the harder it was to take care of it. Boiling water couldn't be drunk directly because it was too hot. When it rained, one had to hold an umbrella or one would get wet. These were all common sense in life that everyone had to remember. Thinking that he was a girl in the game and had to have long hair, Wang Zhong observed carefully. Zhao Ming's hair was very good. If a comb was placed on it, the comb would directly slide off. She had a small fringe and a small braid at the back. It looked very good. In fact, if possible, Wang Zhong wanted to go out and buy a wig and some girls' clothes to study at home. However, it wasn't easy to come to this place. If he left like this, he didn't know when he would be able to come back. It would be a pity. Therefore, he had no choice but to study Zhao Ming's body for the time being. Zhao Ming's pants were a patterned skirt. Looking around, Wang Zhong carefully observed her surroundings. After some time, Zhao Ming's fingers moved. The poison was gone, and she gradually recovered. She narrowed her eyes and suddenly felt that her clothes were being pulled. She was dizzy and didn't have much strength. She could only squint and look quietly. She was shocked by what she saw. Wang Zhong was sneakily studying the clothes on her body. What was going on? One must know that after Wang Zhong saved her, Zhao Ming trusted Wang Zhong very much. At this moment, seeing Wang Zhong like this, she couldn't believe it. But soon she felt relieved. I've long heard that some geniuses are eccentric and like some special items. It seems that this is true. In Zhao Ming's mind, Wang Zhong was already a genius with a strange hobby. His strange hobby was cross-dressing. But it was also possible that he was interested in her. Thinking about it, Zhao Ming was very confident in her appearance, especially her figure. It was really indescribable. In the past, when she walked on the street, the number of people who turned to look at her was also super high. Although Wang Zhong was talented, he was still a man. It was normal for him to be interested in her. Zhao Ming couldn't help but secretly rejoice. Wang Zhong was too outstanding, so no one would hate him for doing this. There was a girl who summed it up like this. A tall, rich and handsome man pushing me down is called a domineering CEO. A loser wanting to push me down is called a hooligan. The blatant double-standard doctrine was exposed at this moment. Therefore, Zhao Ming deliberately pretended not to know. In the end, Zhao Ming was really itchy, so she pretended to turn over and continued to pretend to be asleep. However, Wang Zhong found that something was wrong because he clearly saw that when Zhao Ming turned over, her eyes squinted at him. This made Wang Zhong stunned. What's going on? Could it be that Zhao Ming has already woken up? Thinking of this, Wang Zhong deliberately touched the soles of Zhao Ming's feet. Her stomach twitched, and then he touched her thighs. Sure enough, Zhao Ming's eyelids moved. Oh my God, she woke up long ago. In that case, she already found out that I was doing this to her. But why didn't she resist? Wang Zhong was very curious. He wanted to understand more about a girl's psychology. After thinking about it, Wang Zhong felt that this might be because Zhao Ming had a good impression of him. But now that I've been discovered, what should I do? Anyway, I've already lost face, so I'll do it on purpose. Wang Zhong had a flash of inspiration and thought of a good idea. This girl is seriously injured. Fortunately, I massaged her acupuncture points one by one to stimulate the expulsion of the toxins. Wang Zhong whispered, and Zhao Ming heard all these words without missing a word. So it turns out that junior brother Wang didn't do it on purpose. He was just treating my injuries. To think that I thought of him so much before. Zhao Ming felt extremely guilty, and felt that she was really wrong. Then, Zhao Ming stopped pretending and pretended to open her eyes in a daze and said, Junior brother Wang. Senior sister Zhao, you're awake. Wang Zhong said with a straight face. Don't move, I was just detoxifying you. How's the detoxification? Not bad, you just need to rest for a few more days. Sorry to trouble you. What's the trouble? Wang Zhong smiled. Zhao Ming didn't think much at first, but she soon found that something was wrong because she found that the strap of her underwear seemed to be broken. She clearly remembered that when her back was scratched, the strap was still there. Why was it gone now? Could it be? Ahem, they're cooking something delicious. Let's go out. Without giving Zhao Ming a chance to think, Wang Zhong walked out. These days, Zhao Ming was almost thinking about why Wang Zhong broke her strap. After thinking about it, there was only one possibility, and that was that he was interested in her. My charm is really unstoppable. Zhao Ming was very hesitant, but she was in a good mood. In her opinion, Wang Zhong was very outstanding, and outstanding people should be given more opportunities. Therefore, Zhao Ming would wear beautiful clothes in front of Wang Zhong from time to time. Moreover, Zhao Ming also found that Wang Zhong liked to study her beautiful clothes. These clothes were packed when she came in this time. Several times when she was drying the beautiful clothes on the beach, Wang Zhong would come over and help her dry the clothes. Then she was surprised to find that when she was drying the clothes, Wang Zhong often asked her about the clothes. She didn't know whether it was intentional or not. At first, it was the price, then it was the characteristics of the style, and then it was outrageous. He actually asked her how to wear it, and several times, he even asked her how to tie the strap. Was this technique taught to him? Wasn't it accumulated over a long period of time? Now Zhao Ming felt more and more that Wang Zhong had a tendency to cross-dress. If he did, she must tell Wang Zhong to be himself. If he really liked it, he could go for a small surgery. A few days later, Jin Lilai, Huang Dongqing, and Aisha had almost recovered from their injuries. Because they still had to train, they left first. After they left, Zhao Ming felt that there was no need to hide it that night. She looked at Wang Zhong and asked, "Junior brother Wang, why do you always like to secretly look at my clothes? Do you like women's clothing?" Chapter 763. Do you like to wear women's clothes? Hearing this, Wang Zhong's whole body was charred on the outside and tender on the inside. Seeing Wang Zhong remain silent, Zhao Ming became even more certain of her guess. In fact, there's no need for you to feel embarrassed. Only the heavens, the earth, you and I know about this matter. I won't speak carelessly. Strictly speaking, I was a soldier in the past and have received training to keep secrets. Therefore, I've always been tight-lipped about certain secrets. Wang Zhong had a headache. This Zhao Ming was a bit stupid. She could really write a novel with her thinking. I think you misunderstood. Wang Zhong shook his head helplessly. Misunderstood? You mean you don't like women's clothes? Zhao Ming tilted her head strangely. Nonsense, have you seen me in women's clothes? But why do you usually secretly look at other people's beautiful clothes? Zhao Ming couldn't help but think of some small movies she used to secretly watch with her best friend. Some of the quirky protagonists would sneakily rub their sister's clothes against the wall when they entered the toilet. It was disgusting. You said it's beautiful clothes. Can't I have a look? Yes, you can, but isn't it not good for you to do so? Ahem. Wang Zhong didn't know what to say. He explained, "Actually, I just thought that it looked good. Your taste in clothes is really good. That's why I took a look at it. I didn't expect you to think of me like that. I'm really disappointed in you." Not really. Wang Zhong said so. Zhao Ming felt that she might have really misunderstood him. "I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Forget it, I'm a magnanimous person, so I'll forgive you. But if you really want to buy it, I can take you when we go out. You want to give it to your girlfriend, right?" Zhao Ming asked tentatively. Kind of. Wang Zhong didn't want to delve into this topic and said, "You're almost recovered now. What are you going to do next?" "I'm going to refine some fragments of the cultivation methods I got before. Although these fragments are scattered, they can bring me a lot of benefits and deepen my understanding of some cultivation methods." "Well, you cultivate well." Suddenly, Zhao Ming frowned and clutched her stomach. She seemed to be in pain. This was the 5th time Wang Zhong had seen Zhao Ming like this in the past 2 days. He asked curiously, "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" Wang Zhong found it strange because he had carefully examined Zhao Ming's body. Her injuries had already completely healed. "It's nothing." Zhao Ming blushed. "Are you hiding something from me?" Wang Zhong asked seriously. "A doctor has the heart of a parent. If you don't tell me about your illness, how can I figure it out? Therefore, this place is full of danger. If we don't solve your problem in advance, it won't be good if there are any repercussions." Zhao Ming heard this. Her heart felt warm and fuzzy. This was the feeling of being cared for. It was really good. Actually, it's nothing much. It's just that her period is here. Auntie, Wang Zhong was stunned at first, then he touched his nose and said, I see. And my body is a bit cold, so every time my period comes I feel pain. I'll be fine in a few days. After speaking, Zhao Meng felt wet and knew that she had to change. She got up and said, I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going to change. Looking at the blushing Zhao Meng as she left, Wang Zhong felt a burst of curiosity. He was going to be a girl in the game, so he probably had to go through this. Should he take this chance to learn? After thinking about it, Wang Zhong decided not to. This was not good. If he was found out, he would be scared. After staying here with Zhao Meng for a few days, Zhao Meng had refined most of the cultivation technique fragments. She was pleasantly surprised to find that her cultivation had greatly increased. The aura on Zhao Meng's body naturally attracted Wang Zhong's attention. Not bad, your strength has steadily increased. Noticing this, Wang Zhong nodded in satisfaction. Although Zhao Meng's talent was bad and her personality was a bit chinibu, she was very smart. The most important thing was that hard work could make up for it. She was a diligent girl. She knew that her talent was not good, so she was very diligent in her cultivation. Being praised by Wang Zhong, Zhao Meng was very happy. Thank you, junior brother Wang, for protecting me these few days. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to absorb the cultivation technique so easily. Zhao Meng was not an insensible person. To refine these cultivation technique fragments, she needed time and a quiet and safe environment. If Wang Zhong was not here, she would not be able to focus on refining the cultivation technique. Therefore, Zhao Meng was very grateful to Wang Zhong. There's nothing to thank. We're all from the same sect. Let's go. And let's go. Where to next? Zhao Meng now followed Wang Zhong's lead and listened to Wang Zhong's words. Let's go inside and find some more opportunities. This time, Wang Zhong was prepared to go deeper inside. Most of the outer area were cultivation technique fragments. Cultivation technique fragments were not that important to Wang Zhong. They were useless to him, but it would be a pity to throw them away. What he needed now were origins and law fragments. These origins and laws were the truly profound and mysterious things. The two of them went around a large ocean and entered a large desert. The sunlight here was very strong, as if something was roasting the earth. Here, they found a fire elemental law. Of course, they also encountered many dangers. Countless fire elemental beasts besieged them. After leaving this place, they continued to go deeper. The two of them saw many strange creatures. These were not living creatures. They were all experts who had died in the ancient battlefield. Because their strength was too strong, they formed all kinds of evil creatures. When the evil creatures reached a certain level, they would use 1/10,000th of the strength of the experts when they were alive. This strength would turn into attacks and attack passers-by. This kind of attack was an instinct of these evil creatures. Perhaps they did not even know why they attacked. They just fought day after day. The deeper they went, the stronger the evil creatures were. Almost done, Wang Zhong felt that there was no need to stay here. He and Zhao Meng decided to return to their previous encampment to rest. For Zhao Meng, it was a rest, but for Wang Zhong he had more important things to do. Because last night, the mission to be reborn as Xiao Dai came. Just as he had guessed, the system did not change this mission in the end, nor did it add a second option. Otherwise, Wang Zhong would rather do the maggot in the celestial world cesspool mission than this mission. Forget it. Since I'm here, I'll just take it as it comes. I've already done the missions of becoming a fox and becoming a ghost. Although my personality has changed, it's fine. Wang Zhong thought it through. At this moment, he and Zhao Meng had already entered their previous encampment. Looking at the sleeping Zhao Meng beside him, Wang Zhong said in his heart, "Enter the game." King. Reborn creature. Actress Xiao Dai. Chapter 764. Reincarnated creature. Actress Xiao Dai. Creature description. Xiao Dai was smart and cheerful since young. She was carefully taken care of by her grandparents. However, as time passed, Her grandparents grew weaker and weaker. Eventually, Xiao Dai was sent back to her parents. Her life with her parents was not happy. Her father drank too much and her mother loved her younger brother. Whenever there was good food, her mother would give it to her younger brother and leave her with a simple life. Xiao Dai's dream was to enter an art school to learn how to sing and dance. However, her mother rejected her because she was a loser. In the end, her parents divorced. Although Xiao Dai lived with her mother, she was targeted by her stepfather. In the end, Xiao Dai ran away from the family. Xiao Dai was already a beautiful girl in her teens. She had a good figure and fair skin. Everyone around her liked her and wanted to pursue her. Unfortunately, those people only wanted to possess her. In school, she was bullied by girls and pestered by boys. After graduation, she was envied by her female colleagues and pestered by her boss. She did not know what to do. Xiao Dai was afraid of being cheated. In the end, she eavesdropped on her boyfriend telling someone that he would dump her after sleeping with her a few times. She then slit her wrist and committed suicide at home. Mission objective: I'm so beautiful, kind, cute and curvy, but why is life so miserable for me? My stepfather wants to take advantage of me. My neighbor Old Wang wants to touch me. The girls at school are jealous of me, and the boys pester me. It's so hard for me. I want to be strong, and not be bullied by anyone. Mission completion reward: random experience points. Heartwarming tip: a creature's body is very weak. You can't fight and kill them. As the white light flashed, this time, Wang Zhong discovered that he had been delivered smoothly. Why is it a girl again? Why is your womanly stomach so disappointing? A complaining voice was heard. Obviously, it was the voice of Wang Zhong's father in this life. A female voice said angrily, "How would I know it's a loser again? But then again, isn't it your seed? I saw it on TV. The scientists said that whether it's a son or a loser, it's up to you guys. It has nothing to do with us." What kind of fallacy is that? The noise in the room made Wang Zhong very unhappy. He sighed in his heart. Sure enough, his parents in this life were not good. For the next few days, his parents basically had a big argument every 3 days, and a small one every 2 days. Sometimes it was for money, sometimes it was to take care of the children, but most of the time, it was because his father did not work and drank all day. Once he drank too much, he would fight with his mother. After a period of time, Wang Zhong gradually figured out his parents' names. His father's name was Song Jiansai, and he was a mason. Unfortunately, because he drank every day, he was dizzy all day long and couldn't do his work well. Therefore, not many people were willing to work for him. Her mother's name was Hu Tsuelan. She worked in a textile factory. She was slightly plump and bad-tempered. Since Song Jiansai dared to scold her, she dared to hit her back with a kitchen knife. In fact, the two of them had a daughter before Wang Zhong. However, it was said that because she was a girl, she was sent away to be raised by someone else not long after she was born. Wang Zhong understood that the two of them actually wanted a boy. If they gave birth to a girl, they would be called losers. Finally, when Wang Zhong was 2 years old, the two of them had another child. This time, it was a boy. Hu Tsuelan and Song Jiansai took Wang Zhong out for a meal to celebrate the birth of a boy, which was a rare occasion. However, after the meal, Hu Tsuelan said to Wang Zhong, "Xiao Dai, Daddy and Mommy are very busy with work. Now that we have a little brother, as his elder sister, you have to give in to him, okay?" "I know," Wang Zhong replied in his childish voice, while he pondered over what they meant by this. "That's good. Tomorrow, Mommy will send you to Grandpa and Grandma's place. Daddy and Mommy are too busy to take care of you." Wang Zhong's heart was like a mirror. Saying that they were too busy? Wasn't it because they valued boys over girls and despised him for being a girl? Anyway, there was no reason for him to stay in this house. Therefore he agreed. "Okay then, I will live with Grandpa and Grandma in the future." "Good boy." Hu Tsuelan and Song Jiansai looked at each other and smiled. Then they began to tease their son. As for Wang Zhong, they no longer paid attention to him. The next day, Hu Tsuelan bought 2 cartons of milk and left Wang Zhong in the countryside, letting Wang Zhong live with Grandpa and Grandma. Looking at the leaving Hu Tsuelan, Wang Zhong didn't cry or make a fuss. He just lamented the futile and ignorant thinking of some rural people. Even in the 21st century, such thinking still existed, making people anxious. Compared to the indifference of his parents, Grandpa and Grandma were very good to Wang Zhong. Although the family was poor and only had a small house, the only electrical appliance in the house was a second-hand refrigerator. When it rained, the bedroom would drip with water. However, when the two elders had delicious food, they would always save it for him. Although the family was poor and couldn't afford new clothes, the other girls in the village didn't wear their dresses anymore. They would give them to Wang Zhong to wear. This made Wang Zhong very touched. In this world, there were still many good people. At the age of 5, Wang Zhong's height was obviously higher than his ordinary peers. This benefited from Wang Zhong's attention to his own nutrition. The family was poor, so he ate more fruits and vegetables. There were many fruits and vegetables in the field, and there were fish in the water. Grandpa and Grandma, who couldn't afford meat, often went to the river to catch fish and shrimp for Wang Zhong to eat. Wang Zhong also knew how to swim in the water, but he felt that he was a girl in this life, and it was better to be reserved. Therefore, many boys in the village asked him to swim in the river, but they were all rejected by Wang Zhong. He now had beautiful long hair. Every day, he wore a sling dress to help his grandparents dry peanuts, pull out weeds, and do housework. People in the village said that Song Xiaodai was a very sensible girl. Whoever married her in the future would definitely bring good luck to their husband. Wang Zhong held his cheek. Whenever he heard these praises, he couldn't help but roll his eyes. In this life, although he was a girl, his mentality was normal. He didn't want to marry a man. If possible, it would be good to be alone. Little Dai, let's play house together. On this day, the village's fat child, nicknamed Fatty, found Wang Zhong. This child was only 7 years old, but he was very fat. Thanks to his physical advantage, this child was overbearing since childhood, and was the king of the children in the village. Little Dai, I'm talking to you. This Fatty may have grown up fast. He was particularly precocious. At a young age, he knew the difference between boys and girls. Because Wang Zhong was the cutest girl among the children in the village, Fatty liked to find Wang Zhong to play. But how could Wang Zhong pay attention to him? When he saw him coming, he coldly said, "Get lost." Chapter 765. Get lost. Wang Zhong shouted in an unusually domineering manner. This sentence gave the fat boy a fright, but very quickly he became angry. He was actually scared by a girl. If other children knew about this, where would he put his face? Song Xiaodai, what do you mean? I brought you to play with good intentions, and you actually yelled at me? Why, do you have a problem? Wang Zhong was not very happy with this fat boy, so she was very rude. I think you are looking for a beating. The fat boy's chubby body rushed up. Children at this age are still very naive. Just a few words and they are already fighting. Originally, the fat boy thought that Wang Zhong was thin and weak and easy to bully. He did not expect that Wang Zhong would grab a handful of soil and throw it at him. The fat boy's eyes were suddenly unable to open. In the darkness, his back was hit several times by the soil. Ouch, ouch, don't hit me. After all, he is a child. After a few hits, the fat boy was beaten until he cried, "Whoa, you hit me, whoa." The fat boy opened his eyes with difficulty and suddenly saw a shocking scene. He saw Wang Zhong holding a shining kitchen knife in her hand and said coldly, "If you cry again, I will cut you." The fat boy understood everything. Naturally, he knew the threat of the kitchen knife. He was so scared that he could not move. Sister Xiaodai, don't, I was wrong. Now that you know you are wrong, slap yourself twice and I will let you go. The fat boy quickly slapped himself twice and said with a sad face, "Whoa, is that enough?" Just as he finished speaking, the door opened and the fat boy's mother walked in. "Fatty, what are you doing? I have been looking for you for a long time." Mom. Seeing his mother, the fat boy seemed to have found his savior and quickly rushed over. Wang Zhong also walked over and said with a smile, "Hello, Auntie." "Fatty, why didn't you say anything when you came to Xiaodia's house? Why are you crying?" The fat boy's mother asked strangely. "Auntie, the fat boy accidentally fell." Wang Zhong answered for the fat boy. "Child, Why are you so careless? The fat boy's lips squirmed. He didn't know how to explain. He wanted to say that Song Xiaodai had just bullied him, but he didn't know what to say. Then the fat boy's mother took him away. In the following days, every time Wang Zhong went out, Fatty would take a detour whenever he saw Wang Zhong. He was terrified. Because they were in the same village, the two of them went to the same kindergarten. The fat boy was the king of the children in this kindergarten, but soon the classmates discovered that he was afraid of Song Xiaodai. Every time Song Xiaodai asked him to buy snacks for her, Fat Boy would be the first to run out and buy them. He was very obedient. Needless to say, Fatty listened to Wang Zhong's words the most in the village. Even many adults noticed this. Everyone joked that Fatty listened to his wife at such a young age. Gradually, the adults realized that something was wrong. Except for the fat boy, the other children were actually afraid of Song Xiaodai. Wang Zhong had completely become the king of the children here. However, Song Xiaodai was a girl after all. Everyone didn't take it seriously. They all thought that Song Xiaodai was good at talking. Soon Wang Zhong went to primary school. Because the family was poor, his grandparents bought a school uniform and a school bag. This was the first time that Wang Zhong had worn new clothes since he was a child. Although it was only a school uniform, it still made him feel emotional. He now had to grow up early and make a lot of money. In this life, he would not let anyone bully her. School life was bitter. Because he lived in the mountains, he had to get up at 5 o'clock every morning. Then he carried his school bag and walked for more than an hour on the mountain road. After going down the mountain, he walked for another half an hour before he arrived at school. There was no way. Life in the mountains was like this. Fortunately, Wang Zhong had suffered all kinds of hardships. This was really nothing. The only troublesome thing was that sometimes when the weather was bad, it was really troublesome. Every time it rained heavily, he was already wet when he came to school. Especially in winter, he could only freeze in the leaky classroom. Fortunately, Wang Zhong's grades were good. He was the first in the grade in every exam. He was a good child in the eyes of the teachers, and a little goddess in the eyes of the students. In the 5th grade, the conditions were finally a little better. The village began to repair the road to the school. They built a cement road. Although the cement road was not wide, at least it could be ridden by a bicycle. A bridge was also built on the periphery, so there was no need to walk on the wooden bridge in the future. This made Wang Zhong overjoyed. The current policy was good. The farmers were happy to have a good life. In addition, the village built houses for every poor family. Unfortunately, Wang Zhong's family had healthy parents. The two of them belonged to the healthy labor force population, so the village could not support the construction of new houses. There was no way. Wang Zhong could only squeeze with his grandparents in the dilapidated mud-walled house. Every rainy day, he had to take out several basins to get water. When I go to junior high school, I must find something to do and strive to make a lot of money early. During the summer vacation of the 5th grade, Wang Zhong woke up early in the morning. Looking at his slim and elegant appearance in the only mirror in the house, he secretly made up his mind. Now he had a ponytail and was 1.48 meters tall. To be honest, it was not bad to be so tall at this age. Now the adults in the village praised Wang Zhong's appearance. He was so handsome at such a young age. He would definitely be a beauty in the future. Xiaodai, is Xiaodai here? The fat boy shouted outside. Wang Zhong walked to the window and saw the fat boy outside with several boys and girls. What's wrong? Wang Zhong walked out. Sister Xiaodai, let's go to the game hall. I will treat you to a game. Not interested. Wang Zhong decisively refused. This group of delinquent children always liked to find him to play. Sister Xiaodai, how about I treat you to the skating rink? I am very good at skating. I don't know how to. Wang Zhong speechlessly refused again. He impatiently waved his hand and said, I still have to do my homework. You guys go and play. Sister Xiaodai, if you don't know how to, I can teach you. You can rest assured that I will definitely teach you. As the fat boy spoke, he greedily looked at Wang Zhong's long legs, thinking about how to take advantage of it later. Unfortunately, Wang Zhong did not even look at him. Go away. If you talk nonsense again, don't blame me for being rude. Sister Xiao Dai is so fierce. Of course, who doesn't know that Sister Xiao Dai is the fiercest? Brother Fatty, let's go. The people on the side persuaded. This made the fat boy very uncomfortable. For so long, the fat boy had been interested in Song Xiao Dai, but Song Xiao Dai had always ignored him. Well, Sister Xiao Dai, then you study hard. Not long after Fat Guy left with his men, a van drove in. Wang Zhong narrowed his eyes. This was his parents' car. Why are they here? Wang Zhong had a bad premonition. Chapter 766. My dear daughter, why aren't you coming over to pick up your things when you see Daddy coming home? After the van stopped, Song Jiansai got off and shouted at Wang Zhong unhappily. You're so blind. Your parents' teachings are just bad. Hu Tsuelan rolled her eyes at her husband and kissed the boy in her arms. My son is still the smart one. He's polite. Wang Zhong nearly cursed inwardly. Just because he was a girl, his parents rolled their eyes at him and doted on his brother. In their opinion, it was a sin to be a girl. No matter how bad their son was, he was still a treasure in their eyes. Wang Zhong's brother was called Song Baoqiang. Although his family wasn't rich, Song Baoqiang ate and drank the best food at home since he was young. His parents never let him do any work. For example, even though Song Baoqiang was already a big boy, he was still in Hu Tsuelan's arms. It was as though she was afraid that others wouldn't know that she gave birth to a son. Speaking of his brother, Wang Zhong felt a headache coming on. The two of them didn't have any feelings for each other. The few times they met, it was only during the New Year. His brother was very naughty. Every time he came back, he would cause trouble. If he wasn't smashing bowls and cups, he would throw clothes everywhere. There was once when he played with matches on his grandparents' bed and nearly set the bed on fire. But even so, Song Jiansai and Hu Tsuelan didn't blame their brother. Instead, they scolded Wang Zhong. The reason was that their brother was still young. It was natural for him to play around. However, Wang Zhong was already an adult. An adult should be responsible for taking care of his younger brother. Therefore, without a word, Song Jiansai picked up the rolling pin at home and beat Wang Zhong's arms and legs until they were bruised. However, his parents didn't consider that he was washing clothes at the time. As for them, they were bragging to their neighbors about how much money they had earned outside. In retrospect, while they were playing, they blamed him for doing the work. Was there any justice in this world? Since then, Wang Zhong had completely given up on his parents. He had already thought about it. When he had the ability to be self-reliant, he would leave this place. He would leave this so-called home that he didn't have any feelings for. Although he didn't have any feelings for his parents, he still had to put on a show. Wang Zhong went over to call his parents and went over to pick up the things. This time, his parents also brought something for Wang Zhong. The gift was 2 boxes of milk. Other than that, there were also some toys, but they were all left behind by her younger brother. Even so, when Song Baoqiang saw that the toy was going to be given to Wang Zhong, he hurriedly grabbed it and said, "This is mine. I don't want to give it to my sister. I don't want it. These are all a bunch of broken toys. Mommy will buy you new ones when we get home, okay?" After Hu Tsuelan finished speaking, she glared at Wang Zhong. "I gave you a toy. Hurry up and say thank you to your brother. Take this pair of broken toys inside." Wang Zhong's lungs were about to explode from anger. First of all, what did she take him for by giving him a bunch of things that his younger brother didn't want as gifts? Secondly, he was about to enter the 6th grade. Would he still want to play with these children's toys? She didn't think it was childish. This also showed that his parents didn't care about him at all. They put all their energy on his younger brother and didn't care about him. They even felt that giving him some second-hand broken toys was a great gift to him. Eehee. Wang Zhong wanted to laugh. He only felt that his parents were really weird. No, actually they weren't weird. Because since he was young, he realized that almost all the adults in the village were like this. If someone gave birth to a son, they would hold a big banquet and the whole family would be happy. If they gave birth to a daughter, they would frown. Especially on the wife's side. She would be scolded by her in-laws for not being able to give birth to a son and letting down her ancestors. Wang Zhong even saw a family with his own eyes. A husband and wife gave birth to 3 daughters, but they still couldn't give birth to a son. In the end, the husband divorced his wife under the instigation of his sister and mother. But he didn't expect that after marrying his second wife, although she gave birth to a son, he later found out that the son wasn't his during a blood test. This directly angered the man's mother to the point that she was hospitalized. After that, the man divorced his second wife, and his second wife and her lover snatched away a lot of his assets. It could be said that he lost everything. In the end, he couldn't torment her anymore. Only then did the man think of his first wife. However, she already had a new family. This made him regret it. "Dad, Mom, why are you here this time?" Wang Zhong asked curiously while eating. Hu Tsuelan smiled and picked up a drumstick for her son, Song Baoqiang, and then said, "Good girl, Dad and Mom are going to bring you to the city. Are you happy?" "Happy? Happy my ass." With these parents' personalities, Wang Zhong suspected that he would be sold off if he went over. "Dad, Mom, I don't want to go. I'm about to enter the 6th grade and have the middle school examination. If I leave now, it will affect my studies," Wang Zhong said. "Daughter, Dad and Mom are doing this for your own good. Don't you want to be with us?" "I think it's good to be with Grandpa and Grandma," Wang Zhong said frankly. "Child, why are you so insensible?" Song Jiansai stared impatiently and said, "I have to work every day. Your mom has to go to work. She has to work the night shift every day. There's no one to take care of the house. You're a grown-up now. You have to learn to take care of yourself and your family." Wang Zhong understood. He understood everything. It turned out that his parents wanted him to go back now because they wanted him to be a servant. And a servant who didn't need money. Hu Tsuelan also said, "Daughter, you're a girl. Studying is a small matter. Anyway, you'll get married in the future. Go to the city now and I'll teach you how to do housework. Only then can you do good deeds in the future. It's settled then. Pack your things later and leave tomorrow." Song Jiansai waved his hand and gave Wang Zhong an order without hesitation. Wang Zhong clenched his fists. He was too young to decide his own fate. Subconsciously, he looked at his grandparents. His grandparents' faces were full of wrinkles. They also felt that Wang Zhong was quite pitiful. So his grandfather whispered, "Well, Xiaodai will be in the 6th grade next year. Why don't we let her stay here for another year?" "Yes, her grades are quite good. She's always the first," Grandma also said. Wang Zhong looked at his grandparents gratefully. They knew how important their support was to him now. Unfortunately, Hu Tsuelan glared at them and slammed the table. She snorted and said, "You want Xiaodai to work here for you, don't you?" As she spoke, as if she had seen through them, she snorted and said, "I know you. No, we never let her work. It's always Xiaodai who takes the initiative." "Don't say that. I know. Let me ask you. If Xiaodai doesn't work here, who will do the housework? Who will take care of Baoqiang?" Hu Tsuelan said sarcastically. "Don't ask your son to do the housework for you. Look at what Xiaodai has become. I can't even call her mom when I come here. I really don't know how I gave birth to such a loser." Chapter 767. I really don't know how I gave birth to such a good-for-nothing. Her sarcastic and cold words made Wang Zhong frown. Perhaps this was a very uncultured rural auntie. However, it had to be said that such people often had the upper hand in the conversation, because they could talk and tear down their face to argue with you. Many people who were afraid of trouble often did not dare to make trouble, so such people could take advantage of them. After that, such people would get even worse after tasting the sweetness. Sure enough, after being scolded, the grandparents' lips squirmed and they did not dare to speak. "Mom, why did you let this good-for-nothing stay in our house?" the youngest son said unhappily. Well, children were indeed the fastest to learn things. He had learned Hu Tsuelan's words and scolded Wang Zhong as a good-for-nothing. This brother is a little annoying. Wang Zhong glanced at Song Baoqiang unhappily. "Mom, how can you always talk about me like that? You even let him imitate you. It's very impolite to let him talk like that, Wang Zhong said politely. Hearing Wang Zhong's words, Hu Zuelan rolled her eyes. Xiao Dai, you're the elder sister. You have to give in to your brother in the future, okay? What's wrong with him scolding you? He didn't hit you or anything. Besides, you didn't lose a piece of meat. Do you know that? But he's very impolite. Such a child is not likable. Wang Zhong's words made Song Jiansai and Hu Zuelan very unhappy. In their opinion, their son was the most outstanding, the most adorable, and the most sensible. How could such an outstanding son not be likable? Didn't he just say some unpleasant words? What's wrong with that? As an elder sister, Wang Zhong was too intolerant. Pa. Sure enough, Song Jiansai was angry. She threw her chopsticks and pointed at Wang Zhong. What do you know? Your brother is not likable, so you're likable. So what if you're likable? A married daughter is like spilled water. The most useless person in the family is you. Needless to say, this time, whether you want to go to the city or not, you have to go. Otherwise, who will take care of you? Xiao Dai, don't be angry with Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad are too busy. We still have to save money for your brother to buy a wife and a house in the future. Do you understand? You must be sensible. Wang Zhong didn't say anything, because no matter how he retorted, he would be the one at a disadvantage. This kind of parents wouldn't care about what you think. No matter how well you did, they would always think that it was what you should do, that it was a matter of course. If you don't do a good job, then it'll be even worse. You'll be blamed for everything. The next day, Wang Zhong said goodbye to his grandparents and headed to the city with his parents and brother. Life in the city was not happy. The whole family was crammed into a cramped apartment. Wang Zhong and his brother were crammed into a small room. There were only 2 beds in the room. On the first day back, his parents told Wang Zhong that his daily task was to be responsible for his brother's food, clothing, housing, and transportation. He also had to help wash clothes. If he didn't do a good job, he would be scolded by them. Sister, my underwear is dirty. Sister, my clothes are dirty. Sister, I pooped on my body. On the 3rd day, his parents were not at home. They had gone to work. Looking at this annoying brother, Wang Zhong's eyes were cold. You want me to work? Fine, see how I'll deal with you. Slap. Wang Zhong slapped Song Baoqiang's face. Song Baoqiang was stunned. He never thought that his sister, who had been scolded by his parents, would hit him. To be honest, Song Baoqiang was not a timid child. On the contrary, he was very naughty. He was someone who would not be moved by force or persuasion. You useless thing. How dare you hit me? Song Baoqiang pointed at Wang Zhong angrily. When Mom and Dad come home, I'll tell them and let them beat you to death. Beat me to death, right? Fine, let's see who dies first. A cold smile appeared on Wang Zhong's face. After so many lifetimes, to be honest, it was too easy for him to deal with a little kid. Dragging Song Baoqiang's head, Wang Zhong pushed him down the toilet. Ah. Gulp. Gulp. Song Baoqiang drank a few mouthfuls of water. Then he was lifted up. Wang Zhong roared fiercely. Will you be obedient in the future? Bah. His temper was quite bad. As expected, ordinary scares wouldn't work. Wang Zhong sighed softly and picked up Hu Zuelan's embroidery needle. Under Song Baoqiang's horrified gaze, the needle pierced his finger. Ah. Woo. Woo. No. Useless thing, don't hit me. What did you call me? Wang Zhong pierced the needle again. At this moment, he was comparable to Granny Rong. Ah. Sister. If you dare to call me that again, I'll stab you again. Will you be obedient in the future? Wang Zhong threatened. Song Baoqiang looked at Wang Zhong in horror. Just now, he had been tortured for more than an hour. This was extremely terrifying in his young heart. The weak and gentle sister who was bullied by others was gone. Instead, it was replaced by a very scary stranger. I'll be obedient, Woo. I'll be obedient, Song Baoqiang was crying. Also, if you dare to tell Mom and Dad, I'll throw you down from here. Wang Zhong patted Song Baoqiang's face and ordered, Go and wash the clothes. Oh. This was the first time Song Baoqiang washed clothes. It was not clean, but so what? There was no way he could do the family's chores alone. If he was pushed too far, he would let his parents know his power. At night, When his parents came home from work, Song Baoqiang rushed over. He did not dare to stay with Wang Zhong anymore. He desperately wanted his parents. "What's wrong, son? Why are your eyes swollen?" Adults were very observant, especially toward the people they cared about. It was easy to find that the people they cared about had cried. "Mom, brother fell at home in the afternoon. I helped him up. He's fine." Wang Zhong smiled and showed his brother an amiable smile. "Isn't that right, brother? Mom and Dad, let's eat." Song Baoqiang did not dare to say anything. "Eat well. Be careful when you walk in the future." In the next few days, his parents also helped Wang Zhong with the procedures to go to a nearby elementary school. Wang Zhong started his school life here. On the first day of school, Wang Zhong attracted the attention of his classmates. Because he was too beautiful, within a few days, everyone said that Wang Zhong was the class belle. This caused a girl to be dissatisfied, and she actually became jealous. The reason was very simple. The girl liked the male idol in the class monitor. But she did not expect that after the class monitor saw Wang Zhong, he would come over and say that he wanted to make up lessons for Wang Zhong. This made the girl very unhappy. When school was over, this girl named Han Xiaoxia led a group of delinquent girls to stop Wang Zhong. "Why are you stopping me?" Wang Zhong carried his backpack and held the bicycle with both hands and asked indifferently. "You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.